sports line.
Recapping the Finns game. Real reaction, real opinions, real talk for real fans.
That sounds amazing.
On AM 560 Sports, WQAM, FM 99.9 HD2, and always live on the free Odyssey app.
Gameday Uncensored is sponsored by South Florida Lexus Dealers. Experience amazing by Tito's Handmade Vodka. Tito's Handmade Vodka on game day? Pour me in, coach. Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac. Make sure your next Cadillac is backed by Morse at Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac. Proud partner of the Miami Dolphins. By JM Lexus. At JM Lexus, you'll always get the home team advantage. And by Williamson Automotive. Williamson is Miami.
Well, shoot. I'm not even mad about the Dolphins losing today, 20-13 to the Houston Texans, deep in the heart of Texas. I'm just disappointed. We've gotten every opportunity to change our identity, to change the narrative, and to be a different team, to break good instead of break bad. And our problem isn't that we can't hang with these teams. Our problem is when the going gets tough, we don't make the plays. Today was the perfect example of that. The defense, fantastic. Made C.J. Stroud look like a junior high quarterback most of the day, although he did extend some plays here and there. The offense today, not so great. Interceptions, we'll get to that in a minute, bad. Texans didn't even really make that many plays, although C.J. Stroud did extend some plays, and they had that fake punt, and, of course, the interceptions. But when the Dolphins had chances to make plays, to carpe diem, to seize the moment, poof. Poof. Like I said, the defense absolutely fantastic. You're even indoors. Climate control, negating any type of weather advantage. And you just can't make the plays. And this is not just today. This has been recurring over and over again. When we play against playoff caliber teams at their place, we don't make the plays. We can hang. Hi, I'm Dan Day, by the way. Robert Grieper with me. We can hang. Remember all the instances just off the top of my head. A couple of years back in Buffalo, around Christmas time, we go up there in the snow. Whole game, we're right there. They beat us at the end. Coming back just to this year, Buffalo again, 61-yard field goal. Make the plays. The Cardinals earlier this year, make the plays. Last week against the Jets, not a playoff caliber team. We make the plays because it's not a playoff team and we're at home. Today, every opportunity to go out there and win that game, control your destiny, control this game, change the narrative. What do? You get the ball with 4:20 left. Pardon, 4:20, I know. 4:20 left in the game, and I said, you know what? What a playoff team does right here on the road, they drive down the 4:20, and they tie the game. Also missing the extra. By the way, also not making plays. No excuse that 2 weeks in a row we have now had from Jason Sanders missed extra points. So you have 4:20, you can't do anything. Once again, not making plays. So you kick it back to the Texans. They have it with 2:50 left. I'm not going to say they mismanaged the clock, although they could have called a timeout, Mike McDaniel, with 2:01 instead of waiting for the 2-minute warning. Not once again, if you get the ball back, 1:44 left on the road, you have the ball, you have control, 1:44, that's all you can ask for. So I really can't be mad about that. What happens? On the very first play, interception, and the rest is history. Now a lot of questions surround this team. Technically, the season is not over. We are not mathematically eliminated from the playoffs yet, although it's going to be very hard. Also, there's still 3 games in the season, but there's a lot of questions. Number one, why are we not making the plays? Also, what's this team going to look like? Jalen Waddle got hurt today, did not return to the game. If there's not that much of a chance to go to the playoffs, do you put him back in? Do you rush him back in? Teron Armstead, big question. Does he ever play another snap in the NFL? Lots and lots and lots of questions. 305-567-0560. I want to hear from you, whether it's good, whether it's bad, whether it's hopeful, whether it's sad. Once again, I'm not angry. I'm just sad. Just sad. Robert Grieper, I don't know. Do you feel as though as a Dolphins fan or just Dolphins Nation should be upset right now? Because a lot of times we'll come on and we'll be very upset. I just, This year was the year we were supposed to, all the meetings were at the 24s of every hour because we wanted to end the 24 years of not winning a playoff game. This was the year Buffalo, week 2, would come in here. We were going to show on national TV that we've changed and that we are the dominant team in the AFC East. This was the year that everything was going to come together. We were going to have this run game. We were going to have this control the ball game. We had Cheetah, we had Waddle, we had Tua. We were going to win big games. We were going to go into cold weather on Thanksgiving into Green Bay, and we were going to show Green Bay and the world, cold weather, no cold weather, on the road, good team, bad team, we control the narrative. Well, if you don't make the plays, you don't control the narrative. Robert Grieper, is it okay that I'm a little bit just saddened right now? I'm just saddened. I'm not angry.
I kind of look at it this way. After 24 years, apathy has set in, is the way I look at it with the Dolphin fan, is that you're used to it. You are looking for it to actually happen, for something to go wrong, and it does. It's kind of like you will your way into something bad happening, and that's exactly what's happened. If you look at that last interception, Tyreek had the ball in his hands.
Once again, not making plays.
And that's the thing, is that, Jim Mandich used to say it every single time on the broadcast, is that the game itself is tough enough as it is. It's even tougher when you're dumb and stupid. When you make mistakes like Eichenberg taking holding calls, when you have 3 picks, I mean, come on.
Let's talk about those picks for a second. Should have been 4. The first one, Tua threw it to the other team. They dropped
Although,
it.
to be honest, the last pick, I don't blame Tua on that last one.
The other 2 were thrown to the other team.
Correct.
Mike McDaniel made some comment about somebody not being in the right spot. I don't know. Tua really threw it to a guy right in the middle of the field, and it was on the 10-yard line. 2 of the interceptions were on the 10-yard line. We were about to score. The last one, Tyreek, the best receiver in the game, the man that was voted number 1 by his peers, not only the best receiver, the best player in the league, has it in 2 hands. And I understand that the defender did have a little more momentum, but that's once again not making plays. It was in both of his hands, and it was taken away from him.
Exactly. I mean, does Tyreek even make top 100 next year? I don't even know. But the way I look at this team, number 1, running game, where has it gone? It is off the face of the earth right now.
If you liked offense, today's game wasn't good for you because both teams had no
it was
offense.
sloppy as hell.
No team had offense. Good defense on both sides. We just don't make plays. That's what's frustrating. If you're bad, what you say is, let's rebuild this thing. If you're good, but you're not winning any important games because you're not making plays, what do you do? There's no formula for that.
You're basically stuck in no man's land right now, in the sense of, if you're really bad, you're going to get a high draft pick and you'll be able to get, something to revamp the future with. You have salary cap money. The problem is that the Dolphins are in the situation where their salary cap is screwed now for years to come. Number 2 is that you're not getting high draft picks. And even if you do you have faith in this front office to even get you the players that you need to fill up this roster? And that's the problem that you're looking at right now with this team. Is it the coach's fault? Yes. Is it the player's fault?
Yes.
Is it the front office's fault? Yes. So the problem is that, Stephen Ross and the rest of his organization has to figure out, number 1, are you bringing Chris Greer back? Are you bringing McDaniel back? The rest of the players that you're long-term in with, you're stuck with them, because I don't know who's going to take those contracts right now.
Yeah, the business side of it is a mess too, but I'll be honest with you, the way I feel about today's loss, it's not on the coaches, it's on the players. We're a few plays away this season alone from being a playoff team.
Although one thing I still have a problem with McDaniel with every single time is his management out there of the clock, and when he takes timeouts, I don't know what he's thinking. I mean, when he used that first timeout earlier in the fourth quarter, I'm like, are you kidding me? I think it was on a 4th down, if I remember correctly, where he used that first timeout. And how are you not prepared at that point to go forward? You need those timeouts at the end of the game. You don't need to use them at that time of the game. And that's, unfortunately, to me, that's lack of preparedness. And that's what's happening out there. I don't know.
That's an extension onto the field with the players.
Yeah.
305-567-0560. Let's hear from you. 560 WQAM. What is your name? Where are you calling from?
I'm Doug. I'm in Hollywood.
Go ahead, Doug. What's going on?
Man, when I look at the Dolphins, the play calling is the main thing. I think with a team like this, with the offense like this, I'm expecting you to get 4 or 5 yards on first down, not 1 or 2 yards. Then that you put the quarterback in a better position, because now he don't have to worry about 2nd and 10. Then he forced the ball. That one, when he forced the ball, I think merely it can be from that, because you got him in a 2nd and 10. Then you know, it's a different. You can call a different play. The playbook is more open when you got a 2nd and 5 or 2nd and 4. But a 2nd and 10, you don't have a lot of options, because the defense got the upper hand when you got the long down and distance.
Absolutely.
And Mike McDaniels is not calling those kind of plays he called last year. Last year was better play calling. He just went down the ladder. So you got 3 people I think the Dolphins need to get rid of. I'm serious. They need to part ways with Greer, Mike McDaniels, and Tua, because we need a mobile. I think we need like a mobile style quarterback, and we need someone who's not really scared. Now I think he's kind of still scared of the concussions. I think he's still playing scared football.
Well, I don't know. He took a head dive trying to get a first down earlier in the game, which was pointless. He didn't seem too scared there. It wasn't smart, but it seems silly. But
he lost the weight. He lost the weight so he can have more mobility, but he's not really using that.
Doug, I want to ask you this, man. I know that teams are trying to take away the deep ball, but Mike McDaniel has to be smart enough to scheme out at least 1 or 2 deep shots every once in a while. It seems like we never go deep anymore. It seems like we rarely go mid-range anymore. It's just checkdowns and little in and out plays. It drives me crazy.
Because the defense are playing for the long ball now.
But you can't scheme up 1 or 2 plays?
Well, that's what they gearing up for the long ball now, because they think that's all the Dolphins can do. But I mean, it's good. They grounded out. They had a grounded out thing 1 week where they grounded out a lot of plays, and everybody say, well, they're gonna take away the deep ball, and we can ground it out and take a lot of play time off the clock. We can play like this, which I don't have no gripe against that. Then sooner or later they're gonna come up, and then you're gonna be able to sneak that deep ball in. But as for now, you got to play what take what they're giving you right now. And so, you know, I think we got to go mobile. We got to go mobile next year, and we got to go offensive linemen in the draft. Whatever we can get in the draft, we got to get offensive linemen, definitely.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think a lot of the play call and a lot of the plays today were because we had guys from the offensive line that just came off the streets, man. We were talking about no-name guys that were getting blown up. We got to go offensive line next year, and forget about getting these speedy guys next year. Every year, y'all want to get these speedy guys, and you don't really do nothing with them. Just like number 25. Speak about the speedy guy. We got Jalen Wright. Did you see him at all today?
I think he ran 1 play all day. 1 play, but that's what I'm saying. They get the speedy guys every year, and it don't really help them, because you really need an offensive line. That's what you need right now.
I agree with you, Doug, man. Hang in there, man. Much love for that. 305-567-0560 is the number to call. Let's go back to the phone lines. 560 WQAM. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Bob from Bal Harbor.
Go ahead, man. What you got?
Well, there's some of the stuff that I'm going to say being said, but it showed again that Tua cannot win against good teams. He had 4 turnovers. There is no excuse. I don't care the offensive line, you're thrown in the location, whatever. You better be better protective on this level. When you're expecting lose, you go home, you're a protective of that ball, and you make sure you take your sack before you throw the away ball. The defense, as far as I'm concerned, they played great today. Considering that they gave up 10 points of that they got was over turnovers. The defense, for me, played phenomenal. They did great. But we have coaching, and I think the coaching job, he's a good offensive coordinator, but he's no head coach material.
Well, we don't know if he's a good offensive coordinator. He's never held that position. Remember in San Francisco, he was the run game coordinator.
And to get to the point, you have so much speed on this team. Yes, you have Waddle. Yes, you have things. Why? I mean, I'm not a genius, but if I am, why there is no deep ball? Not to Hill or Waddle. Let's use them as decoy. Use Wright and Achane at speed. Throw 1 time deep so the defense respect the ball. We don't throw deep anymore.
No, we don't.
So they don't respect us. They have no fear.
We barely throw it mid-range anymore. Bob, we barely throw it mid-range anymore. It's all check downs.
It's all 5-yard, 10-yard quick release. Again, why? We have no offensive linemen? Because Greer is the people who put them together. These are the guys who put this team together.
And
you can't complain about the players without complaining about the general manager.
Now remember,
they chose this player.
Greer laughed in Omar Kelly and a lot of the media's face earlier this year when asked,
yes,
what about the offensive line? That's y'all that worry about it.
You guys are more worried about it than we are. Well, guess what?
Maybe we should be.
They have absolutely... he's been disastrous in picking up. The only good offensive line we got lucky was Tunsil that we gave away.
Yeah.
But Jackson is hurt. Armstead is gone. This year, you pick for future. You're building a Super Bowl team in your mind, and you go for Paul instead of somebody else?
Yeah, well, at least you had offensive line. Yeah, I thought Patrick Paul held his own a little bit today, though. I will give him credit. I thought the offensive
line. It is true, but we could have used somebody who could come and help them protect this line. Look at all the good teams. Look at Buffalo. Look at Detroit. Philadelphia. Their offensive line is intact. The same group of guys are playing constantly.
I agree, Bob. Another thing
we can't say that about the Dolphins. And if you don't have an offensive line, you have no protection. You're going to get hit. You're going to things, and you don't have time to throw the ball. But to me, there's got to be a way. If you're such a genius, figure out the way to throw the ball deep. Figure out the ball to your best players. H-Chan, Hill, get them the ball. Reverses, whatever.
You're preaching
to
the choir.
You're
preaching to the choir,
when you have
Bob.
you have over pursuing defense with so much speed. Not one reverse, not one screen.
You never took advantage of your speed once today. It seemed like.
They haven't the past 3 or 4 weeks. Yes, we beat the lousy Jets. We should have beat them by so many. We barely beat them. And guess what? Tua is not the quarterback. Draft one. Cam Ward, I'm waiting for you.
Cam Ward, the shouts are out there. Bob does bring up a very good point. And I'm not trying to pile on. Tua can't beat good teams, and Tua can't win in the cold. Look at it just this year alone. Jaguars, you defeated them. 2017, Jaguars are garbage. Bills, got skull drugged by them before he left the game. He wasn't in for those few games right there. Then he comes back against, I want to say, where did he come back? He came back against the Bills, right? Yes. They lost 30-27. That's a good team. The Rams, at the time, the Rams had a losing record. We did defeat them, so kudos on that. Beats the Raiders, not a good team. Beats the Patriots, not a good team. Goes into the Packers, playoff team, can't beat them. Barely beats the Jets. Now the Texans, another playoff team, can't beat them. And oh yeah, by the way, you're 0-8 in weather 40 degrees or lower. Those are numbers. I'm not going against Tua. I'm giving you the facts. I'm giving you the numbers. It's frustrating. And the thing is, I don't think the Texans team was that much better than us. I just think they made more plays than we did. That's what frustrates me.
I don't even know if they made more plays than we did. I think that they made less bad plays than we did is really what it was.
I can really only think of one play that we made today on 4th down, Jonnu Smith. It's an unbelievable throw and catch. Let's give credit right there. That was the only play we really made today, right? There's some defensive Chop Robinson with the sack towards the end and stuff like that. But when it came down to crunch time, we didn't make very many plays.
Also, I don't understand why Tua has this thing for throwing across his body across the field, which makes no sense to me why you're going to do that when the better play is to make the throw, correctly, closer to you than to make it all the way across the field when you don't have the arm to do it across the field to do that. And it causes turnovers, unfortunately. And the mistake prone offense that we have right now, as you saw today, it could have been a lot worse. It was bad, but it could have been 5 turnovers up there.
And with that being said, we should have been up 6-3 at halftime.
Well, that too.
13-6, but yeah.
They should have been up. You had turnovers on your side as well. Mm-hmm. And the problem is that as you saw McDaniel start the game off, he was trying to get that running game going, and that never happened. And unfortunately, I think that's been the downfall of this season is, remember earlier in the season, that running game was clicking. Once you had those injuries to Ingold and to Armstead, it went downhill pretty quick. And then it went down even further, when Jackson went down as well. So you watch those 3 big pieces, and they never recovered that running game from that point forward.
There was a few games in there between the Patriots and even the Colts, and what was the other one that we barely won? Another one where we were like, wait, we might just be a running team. And now, oh my goodness, 305-567-0560. Back to the phone lines, 560 WQAM. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Don from Miami.
Break it down, Don.
Listen, this problem has been here for 4 years since they drafted Tua, an undersized, injured quarterback. He is not an NFL quarterback, and whenever we play a team that has half a team, it shows. Okay, that's the first problem. So until they're willing to move on from Tua, we're going to have to live with this CRAP. Start to hate to say that, because Greer's an idiot when it comes to talent. We've seen that over and over. You let some of the best guys go in trades, and then you go after a shiny object that's always hurt on the field. It doesn't make any sense. You let one of the best defensive linemen go in the league, Wilkins. You don't even offer Van Ginkel any money. So the front office is ill.
Oh, wait. Don't forget, it wasn't a lot of money, but they went after Odell Beckham Jr., who's no longer on the team this year.
Yeah, for what? We didn't have enough receivers already? You know, and Tua can't throw it more than 25 yards. Every time he does, it's underthrown. The only reason those passes were ever completed in the past is because Tyreek Hill would be so wide open he could stand there and wait for the ball to get to him. Think about it. How many passes did he ever hit in stride over 25 yards? Hardly any.
Yeah,
and now if you look at the offense, every pass is 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage.
I did write down in my notes that, man, we do a lot of dinking and dunking and short passes. And I know, like I've been saying all this all day, and tell me if I'm wrong. Yes, they are trying to take away the long ball, but you have to find a way to scheme. You have to find a way to scheme up every once in a while a deep ball just to loosen things up, because all the defenses are doing now, taking away the long ball and just waiting for us, pinning their ears back on a dink and dunk pass 5 yards or 3 yards behind the offensive line. It's very predictable. You think Texas didn't know exactly what we were going to do today? I mean, I'm sorry.
Houston looked at the Jets film.
Did Houston? It seemed like they were comfortable with everything we did. Was there ever a time you thought that the Texans looked a little uncomfortable on defense? No.
Not at all. Houston looked at the Jets film. We went up and down the field on the Jets, right? And it was the same thing every series, though. A few 10-yard ends, from both sides, a little dink and dunk the whole way. Houston looked at the film. They had a safety stand right there in the middle. That's how he got almost 2 interceptions at the same time.
Yeah.
Because he was waiting for the ball. He knows where Tua's timing is at. Tua didn't see those guys in those dark blue shirts a couple times because he's throwing a timing pass.
Donald, I don't know if you saw at halftime. I do not believe Mike McDaniel when he said people need to be in the right spot at the right time. Tua just did not see that guy standing right there. It's not someone that was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Let's be honest.
If the guy's not in the right spot, you got to throw it somewhere else. Duh.
I mean, there's no way that someone was supposed to be in front of that guy. No, Tua threw it to a space that was occupied by a Texans defender.
Yep. And this thing I hear when all these people talk about the offensive line not being good, Tua only got sacked how many times today?
Well, he did have that. He had that fumble where he got hit from the back. But yeah, I thought the offensive line for a bunch of guys that we got off the street, I thought that they did a very good job. They did an outstanding job.
He had time to throw the ball where he wanted to throw it today. It's just where he wanted to throw. It wasn't a very good throw.
Once again, the first 25 plays for every NFL team are scripted. Why are we not scripting more plays to Tyreek Hill? Or is it that they're taking away from? I don't know, but find a way to get him the guy. I'm sorry. Get him the goodness ball. Go ahead, please.
My last point. Listen. Everybody's going to come up with an excuse for this week.
I'm not.
But what I'm really going to hate, not you, is by the end of the week, they're all going to be selling tickets again, and I can't stand it.
I understand.
I'm not going to any more of these games. It's just making me sick.
I'm frustrated, just like you, Donald. Thank you so much. I'm frustrated. I'm upset. I'm saddened because this is the thing. Like you've said, if you have a bad team, hey, we're just not good enough. This team is, to me, good enough. We're just not making plays, and I don't know what the answer is. I don't know what the answer is if you're good enough, but you're not making the plays.
Well, one thing I am happy about is at least the fans are showing their anger right now.
They should.
I'm happy about that because the one thing you never want to have is indifference. If the fans are like, well, we expect it to happen and all that, that's where the problem comes in. If you get into a franchise where the fan base doesn't care if you win or lose at that point, that's not a good place to be. There are plenty of other franchises in this league where the fans just sit there and they're like, hey, it is what it is. And I'm afraid that eventually that this franchise will get there after 25 years now without a playoff. I mean, this is, yeah.
For all those people nationally and wherever else that say there aren't real sports fans here in South Florida, this show is evidence that there are real sports fans in Florida, and they are really fed up, and they should be really fed up, because if you have a team that hasn't won in the playoffs in 24 years, that is frustrating. That is upset. Nonetheless, great fans. And we want to hear from you. 305-567-0560. We're going to take a quick break, take more of your calls, and just kind of try to figure this whole thing out for the Miami Dolphins as they lose today. Once again, for everyone that says another chance to change the narrative, it was also another chance to prove the narrative, going against a playoff team in their place, climate controlled even, and lose 20-12. We'll back after this.
WQAM broadcasting live.
Time for more Game Day Uncensored, post-game edition on AM 560 Sports, WQAM, FM 99.9 HD2, and always live on the free Odyssey app.
Sponsored by South Florida Lexus Dealers, Tito's Handmade Vodka, Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac, JM Lexus, and Williamson Automotive.
Another game on the road for the Dolphins against another team that is going to be playoff bound, and another crushing loss. 20-12. The numbers pretty much say everything. Tua Tagovailoa, 29 for 40 with 196 yards, 1 touchdown, beautiful touchdown, by the way, to Jonnu Smith, 3 interceptions, and one that maybe wasn't his fault so much. Tyreek Hill had it in his hands, but got it taken away at the end of the game to end the game. The rushing game still pretty much non-existent. Devon Achane, 12 carries, 41 yards, and then it gets really embarrassing. Raheem Mostert, 6 carries for 8 yards, and Jalen Wright's 1 appearance in the game, 1 rush for 3 yards, receiving nothing to write home about. Malik Washington, 5 receptions, 52 yards. Jonnu Smith, that beautiful touchdown, 9 receptions, 48 yards. He's our best receiver, by the way. Tyreek Hill, 2 receptions, 36 yards. You want to make a statement and you want to win a big game on the road against a quality team. How about you get somebody like Tyreek Hill more involved? Devon Achane, 7 receptions, 35 yards. Raheem Mostert, 3 receptions, 13 yards. Durham Smythe had 1 catch for 8 yards. River Craycraft, 1 reception for 6 yards, kind of meaningless. Jalen Waddle was hurt, did not really play, and unfortunately, Grant DeBose did have 1 catch from -2 yards. Grant DeBose did get hurt. We're hoping that everything is okay with him, but Dolphins not doing okay. They are technically still alive for the playoffs, although they lose to the Texans today, 20-12. 305.
Unfortunately, they're on life support right now.
I mean, they would have to win out, and then there has to be 50,000 different things that go their way. Does not look great, but hey, we're going to celebrate and we're going to enjoy the last 3 games of the season, and whatever happens, happens, and whatever happens right now. Give me a call, 305-567-0560. Want to talk to you, 560 WQAM. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Ross up in Lexington.
Lexington, Kentucky?
Yes, sir.
Glad to have you, Ross. What's happening?
Well, I echo everything that the others have said previously, but I really think to have kind of a little different take on it, and Tobin had a good point in the pregame show, which was the irony of playing the Texans today and looking at that big that trade that Greer made years ago, and he got all cute with, oh man, all these draft picks we get, we swap them for more draft picks, and the Texans have already they've already destructed their team, rebuilt, and have already more successful and going in the right direction than the Dolphins are. I mean, it's embarrassing. I mean, and at some point, I just think that blaming Greer, at some point, you kind of got to look at Stephen Ross and just say, do you really care? I mean, you were talking about the fans that care. I mean, how long do you need to see somebody who's handing out these contracts in the offseason? We scored 1 touchdown today. We gave one guy sat on the sidelines today with his helmet in his hands, fully dressed out, and would not go after he's already gotten paid. He didn't have to worry about going into the offseason as a free agent getting hurt. It wasn't worth it for him to go out on the field today. And then, like you've already brought about, I'm not saying it's Tyreek's fault, but we extend Tua, we extend Tyreek, we extend the head coach who's all about offense. We score 1 touchdown in the biggest game of the year. This was what we had to have to keep it going. It didn't
sneak up on us, Stuart. This game did not sneak up on us.
That's right. So that's kind of all, and I hope that Grant DeBose is okay, and I'll let y'all go.
Yeah, Stuart, we appreciate so
Thanks
much right there. Grant DeBose did have a nasty hit and an injury, it looked like. I mean, it was definitely an injury. Took a hit around the 3rd quarter, and there was a 12-minute delay in the game. We have not gotten any news of that yet. We're just praying that everything is okay and that just a lot of precautions had been taken. But yeah, the more and more Stuart says things, the more and more this Dolphins team just seems soft. They don't make big plays. They don't really dominate the line of scrimmage. They have 2 of the best receivers in the game. They're paying a ton of money, and they barely get them the ball. Yeah,
we've turned into a skill team and not a tough team, unfortunately. And it's not a good situation out there when you're getting manhandled on the field. As you saw in the last play, that interception right there, Tyreek got manhandled by Stingway there.
Yeah, no, he had the ball in his hand. He had the ball taken away from him, like taking candy.
He had
from
the
a
ball
baby.
in his hands, and he had it taken away from him.
And I understand Tyreek's dealing with the wrist issue and everything like that, but still, make plays. You got to make plays. But another thing is, in a statement game, you get zero. I know Waddle didn't play a lot because of the injury, but you don't go to Waddle very often. Tyreek Hill has 2 catches. Your star players are the ones that carry you in big games. Malik Washington, great rookie, good rookie. He shouldn't be leading your team in yards. He shouldn't. Tua, I mean, I know you're trying your hardest. You can't just throw it to the other team. If you want to win big statement games against good teams, you have to step up and make big plays. You can't, Jason Sanders, you can't miss extra points. I'm sorry.
Nope.
I'm sorry. I know he was special teams player of the month last month, and he's made all these 50-yard field goals and stuff like that. Well, you change the game when you missed an extra point last game and this game. Last game, it's over in regulation. This game, you have a chance to drive down the field and either tie it or win it with a touchdown and an extra point. Although, maybe we should start going for 2 more. I don't know. 305-567-0560. Back to the phone lines, 560 WQAM. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Jackson Lazar.
What you got?
From South Carolina, Myrtle Beach. Yeah, I watched the game today, and we look awful. Like, we look so bad that, like, the offense were, like, they were, like, horrible. And, like, defense, like, did really good. They had some stops, but we made Texans look like they're, like, a really good team.
Yeah, Jackson, they looked very comfortable with everything that we were doing and they were doing today. It seemed like we didn't surprise them at all.
But also the Malik Washington thing, like, he's only a rookie.
Right.
Like, why are you throwing him the ball? Like, get Rican, get Johnny Smith a little bit more some targets. And also Grant the Bros, praise him, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's a big guy from Packers, went to the Dolphins, got cut in the offseason, signed a big deal with the Dolphins. But prayers to him, man. Big hit, but that's crazy.
Man, Jackson, you can see it all the way from South Carolina. I can tell you know your football right there, and I can tell you've probably been screaming at the TV a little bit.
Yeah.
I understand, man. Well, you're a true Dolphins fan. We greatly appreciate that. That's Jackson in South Carolina. Yeah. I mean, it's easy to see. Malik Washington's good, but is that what you're doing? You're going to say, I'm going to favor, and I understand the defense takes certain things away, but you got to figure things out, man. I'm sorry. When you're at the highest level, I'm going to expect you to coach at the highest level and to scheme at the highest level. And I know maybe I'm guessing these are plays early on called for Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, but Tua has to check down for some other reason. Once again, find ways. They found ways at sometimes to get at the Tyreek Hill late in the game on that. Was it a 3rd or a 4th down?
Yeah, I mean, they did find ways on there, but to me, it all goes back to roster construction. If you look at this team, I mean, it goes back to backup quarterback at the start of the year, what you're thinking there. Skyward just got cut yesterday, finally. I mean, you're starting street free agents, basically. I mean, it is not a good situation when, Berrios goes down, you lose, you actually cut OBJ, who was supposed to be your 3rd receiver.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're on your 5th receiver, basically. Actually, probably 6th and 7th, because when Waddle went down, I mean, it's not a good situation there. The offensive line, you're basically put together with chewing gum out there.
And I don't want to pile on Jackson Carman because, like I said, he kind of just came off the streets and he's been practicing. There was times in the game he played okay. There was times he also he got eaten alive, which is understandable.
I mean, the guy played at Clemson. I mean, he's, not – I mean, he played at a top-flight program in college, but there's a whole difference between college and the pros.
Yeah,
and obviously you can see that.
He was a 2nd-round pick back in 2021. But once again, to just throw him in the mix and say, stand in front of first of all, very good pass rushing team in the.
Oh, Anderson is scary.
Some of those guys, I mean, they're one of the tops in the league. So when you put bubblegum offensive line together, there's going to be some issues. I thought that the offensive line, though, for who they were, the personnel they had, and the lack of what you would call chemistry that they had, I thought that they did a good job. Some of that, maybe you got to give credit to Mike McDaniel. Maybe he got plays that were where Tua Tagovailoa could get the ball out quickly and minimize that. But there was also times when those Texans were running free.
And that's the one thing that we'll never find out the answer to, but I'd love to know how much of this was called by McDaniel and how much of it was audible by Tua.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time, I'm kind of wondering where these boneheaded plays are coming from. Is it Tua making the plays? Or is it McDaniel saying, hey, this is the play I'm calling, go with it. I know what I'm doing. I know better than you.
I think in all things, it's a little from column A, a little from column B. We know Tua is a lot more confident and a lot more assertive than he used to be. And now you're starting to see some plays a little bit different. And
I mean, it's not like back in the day when you had Dan Marino out there and, hey, you trust him to do whatever you want to do. Hey, you want to audible all day? Be my guest. Check out, no problem. But now I'm kind of wondering, number one, with the talent that you're surrounding him with, okay, you finally got him a tight end now. After how many years he's been playing for this team? Great. You got him a tight end. Running backs. Okay. Mostert is really banged up.
Yeah.
Achane's not doing much. The whole running game is almost non-existent right now.
We're Game Day Uncensored, so we can be real about it. Jalen Wright has done nothing this year. Nothing. And you can say you haven't given him the ball. There's a reason he's not getting the ball.
Oh, yeah. And that's the thing that I'm kind of, you're already looking at that draft pick is
whatever.
But at least Chop Robinson is coming through finally.
Hey,
so at least that's one that actually has come through.
No, and that's the thing. I gave Chop a little more of an opportunity because I learned from Jalen Phillips. We piled on Jalen Phillips early the first 4 or 5 games in his career and said he was a bust. And then he finished the season great. There's obviously a learning curve. That's why we gave Chop Robinson a little more time, and look at what he's doing now. He is our best pass rusher. He gave CJ Stroud some fits today. 305-567-0560. Back to the phone lines, 560 WQAM.
Yo.
What's your name, bro?
My name is Xander, man. I'm calling from Dallas.
Oh, Xander. What's going on?
What's going on, man? I'm a long time listener. I'm glad I'm on, man. I got so much to say, but I ain't gonna hold you too long.
No, get it out, man. We got all night.
Listen, that graphic that came on the screen that said 25% of our passes are behind the line of scrimmage, that is awful, yo. Like,
leads the NFL.
Tyreek is only a threat to a cornerback if he's actually running at them. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that doesn't make sense to me. And then we got Greer. That's the worst GM we've had in a while. And people don't realize it. He drafted Cam Smith. You let Xavier Howard lead. We got Fuller, the other brother Fuller. He's just like his other brother. He don't do nothing either. You get what I'm saying? I don't know, man. This team trash, man. This team is done. They gotta blow it up.
You know how many years Chris Greer has been with the Dolphins? Not GM, but in some front office position.
I know.
How many years?
A lot of fans don't realize he's been in the back, and what they've always done is said, "Oh, it wasn't him. He wasn't making the picks." He's made these last couple of picks.
Mm-hmm. He's been with the organization 25 years. Lo and behold, how many years has it been since the Dolphins have won a playoff game?
About the same.
25 years. It's been exact. Now, like I said, he's been in other positions. He hadn't always been GM, but yeah. And you do bring up a really good point, Xander. When you have guys like Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, even a Jonnu Smith, what's your advantage with them? Putting them
when they're moving down the field
fast, coming at guys full speed, and making those defenders have to keep up, and you minimize their mobility. When you're throwing passes behind the line of scrimmage, you're starting at a dead stop instead of full speed.
Yeah, it's no threat to the offense. I got one more thing too. We got I don't know if you remember where they voted us the number one team. I guess like players love to play for us. I can see why they come here and get paid and they do nothing. Like, I would love to go to Miami too. They just paid Odell a couple million for what? 6 catches,
nine catches, 9 games.
Yeah, this team crazy, man. They gotta blow it up, man. I'm done with this team. I'm not supporting them. I'm not going to no more games. I'm not buying no more merch. I'm done. I'm done with the team. I'm done with Tua. I'm done with Greer. I'm done.
You're not the only one, Xander. A lot of people are saying that, and he does bring up a good point. Maybe you're kind of towards the end of your career. You're looking for a little bit of a semi-retirement. You see, Mike McDaniel doesn't really pound down on you too much, and you can come to Miami, make some money, live in South Beach, go to Brickell, practice a little bit, play a little bit, win a playoff game. Well, I mean, they haven't won one in 25 years. Yeah. Although Calais Campbell's come here and just balled, so you got to give him credit. But I can see where maybe if that's true or not true, it does make somewhat of sense.
I mean, hey, this is where people go to retire.
It is. 305-567-0560. Back to the phone lines, 560 WQAM. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Joe from Miami. How you doing?
What you got, Joe? I'm not doing great, but
I know.
I'm still happy.
Listen, somebody made a point. Miami's a nice place to retire to, but say you see an 18-year game season now. You get some of those old men, so they're going to fall apart any faster. But I'll tell you, Miami's passing game is a spot game, and everybody's figured out. They know where the passing will end up. So you can't be gaming on charities anymore.
I think that is part of it. I think that some teams have figured them out, man, because we just don't go downfield at all hardly anymore. And if we do try it, it doesn't seem to be very successful. And even when we kind of go medium, look at what happened. We had a couple interceptions. We had Tyreek Hill get that interception taken out of his hands. Johnny Smith caught that touchdown, although that wasn't a deep pass. Yeah, he's got to be able to scheme up better. I'm sorry. I'm gonna hold the coach to it. You've got to be able to scheme up better and get the ball to Tyreek Hill and get the ball deeper to these guys. Find a way.
Let me close out with a comment about Houston. They're going to no place with Stroud. That guy can't throw a medium pass or anything. Everything's low. It's at the ground. He's missing receivers left and right.
Yes, CJ Stroud, though, I thought he did a good job extending plays today. I thought he used his legs very good to kind of extend some plays. I didn't think he was spectacular, but when he did kind of extend plays, that's how he got his 2 touchdowns. It's also he got a couple other big plays out of it. But CJ Stroud was definitely not unbelievably exceptional today. But I will tell you what was exceptional. Dolphins defense. Got to give them pride. Give them some credit. 305-567-0560. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Gordon.
Gordon, break it down.
So let's figure this out. We've got Devon A-Chain, we've got Tyreek Hill, we've got all these guys on offense, and we score no points.
No points. We scored 12.
We spend all this money to secure all these players, whether it's the quarterback, the 2 wide receivers, drafting get all these like stockpile running backs, this tight end, and we still can't score against good teams. Mike McDaniel now, what's the stat? He's 1-17 or 1-16 against teams with a winning record. And he's 0 whatever against playoff teams on the road. So I guess according to the Dolphins, he probably deserves another 3-year extension, right?
Man.
I mean, I'm just like I don't know really kind of like where you go with all this, because like the other guy said who's sharing the microphone with you, they've spent a ton of money on a bunch of guys. They put all their money in on 2 wide receivers, and they're untradeable. And this is not like the NBA where you can move salaries and you're trading salaries and you can move, like we signed Hassan Whiteside to some ridiculous contract, yet we were able to move that very, very easily. Mm-hmm. It's very difficult to move contracts in the NFL. And I just think we're stuck.
And they're aging. Well, Waddle's not aging. Well, Waddle is aging, but Waddle's still very young. Tyreek Hill is starting to get older. And
Waddle didn't do anything this year. He had like 1 or 2 games where he did something, but he had Tyreek Hill who gets all the attention, and yet he couldn't put up any numbers. So it's like what? And our running backs, our best. We didn't have a running game really this year. Our best running plays are these screen passes to Devon A-Chain or to the tight end. I'm just like, what do you do next year? And it's just like I was all dead on set as like when things were going bad, let's just lose every game and get Cam Ward next year and let's just start it and figure it out. And that now we can't get that guy. So we're going to go back. What can we realistically, this season's over. I don't want to hear tomorrow morning Joe Rose say to me at 6 a.m., well, we still got a chance, this and that. It's over. So it's like, what do you do? I'm already done with this year. What do you do next year? There are no solutions. What are you going to do? Go back with Bradley, with Chubb and the 2 pass rushing guys that couldn't even stay on the field this year?
Yeah,
one guy couldn't even play on the. I mean, we have nothing. I don't even know what the plan is next year.
Another thing, Gordo, I want to ask you: does Chris Greer realize we're not fielding a 7-on-7 team, that you have to have offensive and defensive linemen in depth?
Well, I think listen. Remember there was that comment that he made before the beginning of the season that we're fine with the offensive line, and this and that, and he kind of chuckled, we'll be okay. I mean, I think I don't really think, listen, it's going to be very difficult to get rid of Mike McDaniel after they sign him to a contract, but if they get a new general manager, I'm not sure that general manager may necessarily want to keep this guy. I mean, the reality is you just said in the other call, everyone has figured out this offense.
Yeah.
They figured it out.
Well,
we didn't throw one bomb this year. I can't even. The last time we threw a 50-yard bomb to anyone.
The reality is this, Gordo, and I do want to say this. I do like Tua Tagovailoa. I think he is an elite quarterback, but
he's not elite. He's not elite. Come
Gordon,
on.
I'm going to give you this. The numbers don't lie, though. And like I said, look at his wins against good teams. Look at his losses against good teams. Look at his cold weather performance. Those numbers don't lie. So when I say he's an elite quarterback, you can come back with those stats, and you know what I can say to that is
he's a good quarterback against. Right, he's a great quarterback against the Jets. Okay, he's a great. Is he a great quarterback against Buffalo? No. Is he a great quarterback against Kansas City? No. Is he a great quarterback against Green Bay this year? No. Is he? I mean, you can go down the list of all the games against really good teams. Is he a great quarterback against the Houston Texans when we need to win the game to stay in this thing? No, he's not.
Gordon, I can't argue with you. I'm saying in a court of law, I could not argue with you. You bring up a very good point, and we got a lot.
Stuck with them.
We're stuck. We're stuck. I don't know if there's any other options.
Everyone who says, let's go get another quarterback, we are stuck with this guy for the next 3 or 4 years, and there's nothing we can do about it because this general manager, listen, the reality is this, Tua got very lucky. He didn't get hurt last year. And that's why he was able to get that big contract.
Mm-hmm.
So he was very lucky. If he got hurt that year, we wouldn't have kept him.
No, or we wouldn't have paid him. We'd have played out this last year.
We wouldn't have paid him. We would have played out this year, and then we would have said, see you later. Because we would have been 7-10 or 8-9, missed the playoffs, and it's time to move on. We're stuck.
Yeah, we seem to be stuck. 25 years now. It's good looking like that we will not be winning a playoff game, Gordon. We're ride or die, man. We appreciate you so much. You're stuck with us. Creeper and I are going to be on until 7:30, leading you into tonight's Sunday night football game. That's going to be an exciting one. We're still going to take your calls, 305-567-0560. You get the Pack and the Seahawks tonight, two teams that we've both lost to this year, two teams that are also most likely playoff bound this year. I'm starting to see a pattern. Keep those calls coming, 305-567-0560. Back after this on Game Day Uncensored.
Uncensored on WQAM Miami, WPOW HD2 Miami, WKIS HD2 Boca Raton, an Odyssey Sports Station.
Powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys.
Call 1-800-747-FREE.
That's 1-800-747-3733.
Game Day Uncensored, post-game edition.
We keep rolling. Don't be stressed. I know what's online.
Recapping the Fins game. Real reaction, real opinions, real talk for real fans.
That sounds amazing.
On AM 560 Sports, WQAM, FM 99.9 HD2, and always live on the free Odyssey app.
Game Day Uncensored is sponsored by South Florida Lexus Dealers. Experience amazing by Tito's Handmade Vodka. Tito's Handmade Vodka on game day. Pour me in, coach. Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac. Make sure your next Cadillac is backed by Morse at Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac. Proud partner of the Miami Dolphins. By JM Lexus. At JM Lexus, you'll always get the home team advantage. And by Williamson Automotive. Williamson is Miami.
If you liked offense, today was not your game. Texans defeat the Miami Dolphins 20-12. The Dolphins were able to muster one touchdown, and you're like, oh, one touchdown, 12 points. Yeah, Jason Sanders missed another extra point today, so that's why the score was 20-12. Not a great offensive day, and Robert Grieper is joining me. I am Dan Day. We could give you all of our takes, but it's not about our takes right now. It's about yours. 305-567-0560. Back to the phone lines. 560 WQAM. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
David, calling from South Carolina.
All right, David, what you got?
What's up, man? This is a really disappointing situation. Like, Chris Greer really put us behind the eight ball with this team. Like, I don't even know what we should do right now. Like, we're an old team. You know, we have a couple of young pieces. We have no identity. Right now, like, what is our identity?
Screen passes.
Like, screen pass. Exactly. That's not going to win us a championship. You know, Tyreek Hill is great, but he's a smaller wide receiver. We're not even getting him the ball. Our offensive line is terrible. We have Chop Robinson, Achane, and Ramsey. I mean, those are our main pieces. We have a small quarterback. I understand he's extremely accurate, but again, we paid him all this money. I feel lost. Like, we have nothing, and we're stuck in this situation. Like, and it's all I feel the one person to blame is Chris Greer and also the owner, Stephen Ross, because you start from the top and work your way down to the bottom. And the owner is the main one in charge, and then Chris Greer. And they have some explaining to do for the Dolphins fan base. I'm a season ticket holder. We fly down for all the games, and tickets go up in price. And it's really disappointing.
Yeah, every year.
I'm worried. I'm 42 years old, and we have not been good in over 20 years.
Yeah. I know that's the tough thing, man. And when the going gets tough, we don't get going. And every time, like this morning, I don't know if you listened to the pregame with Tobin and Alejandro Solana, they came on right away and said, I got a feeling about today. It's going to be great. And they go, Dan Day, what do you feel? And I said, man, I don't want to be a bummer, but we say this every time, and we don't learn from the history that nothing changes. And it seems like Stephen Ross doesn't learn from the history. Maybe you got to get rid of Chris Greer. There has to be some changes, or else we're going to do this every single time we play a playoff team. We're going to say, we got this. It's going to be different.
Yeah. Exactly. And this one was not even the weather. You can't even blame the weather. This was an indoor game.
Nope.
They played in the dorm.
I know. Indoors. No excuses. And, you know, the Texans didn't play all that great. They just played good enough to beat us. That's what's frustrating. David, thank you so much.
Their defense, they came out to play.
Salute.
They looked pretty nice.
Salute.
They're hungry.
That defense is one of the best things I've seen in a while, but this team, unfortunately, not enough. 305-567-0560. Back to the phone lines, 560 WQAM. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Hello, go ahead.
Alex, West Palm Beach.
Go ahead, Alex.
All right, so quick question. I know all the Tua haters are calling in. They're on the high horse right now, and they want to talk all this smack about Tua, right? What has Dan Marino done?
Nah, he wants to play. I mean, I still think Tua is great. I still think he's an elite quarterback. I think he's just a couple plays away from being one of those quarterbacks that can win the games. And the other question is, I want to ask you this. What's your better, how can you assure there's a better option out there than Tua? What happens if you do get rid of Tua and you get some bum like Skylar Thompson to go in there?
Exactly. There is not. So I'm 42 years old. I've watched the Dolphins my whole life. I've watched the Dan Marino years where he's won some games and it looked great, but he couldn't get past Buffalo. He couldn't win in the cold. He couldn't win the big game. And the one time he did go to the big game, he got smoked by Montana.
Yeah. This is the thing. And like my mama, Big Lynn, used to always say, be careful what you wish for. You just might get it. Everyone that's going out there and saying Tua's not the guy, he's not going to get us where we need to go, we need to get rid of him. You might get rid of him. And like I said, you might get a Skylar Thompson, or you might not even have a quarterback that can put together a game like Tua Tagovailoa. And you bring up a point. Dan Marino, although a great quarterback, has great numbers, didn't win a lot of those big games.
Never did. And every time he did go, it was just like, okay, well, we got a chance, but you know what? Oh, damn it, here we go. Same old Dolphins. Last time they did anything was back in the 70s. I wasn't even born then.
Yeah, I don't remember those days.
My grandfather was watching the games. Like, I am happy where we're at. Yeah, Greer has made some mistakes. I mean, Tua's working with this patch piece of an offensive line that is garbage.
It is not good. It is not good.
Garbage.
I mean, the guys in there, man, were just unbelievable. So yeah, man, it's frustrating right now, man. And what's the answer? We just got to make more plays. 305-567-0560, 560 WQAM. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, I'm Howie from New York.
All right, Howie, what's up?
Well, listen, it's McDaniel and Greer's got to go. Everyone's saying it. You guys, as the radio host, have to say it louder. It's ridiculous. 3-15 for McDaniel against teams above 500.
That's unacceptable.
And this guy is supposed to be an offensive genius.
It's unacceptable.
We haven't thrown the ball down the field more than like 20 yards in weeks.
You have two of the biggest weapons.
Already.
You have two of the biggest weapons on the outside in the game, and you're not getting them the ball.
So how is this acceptable?
It's not.
I want you guys on the radio, starting with Joe Rose in the morning, calling for McDaniel and Greer to be fired.
Howie, you're right. No, it's not acceptable. I'm not coming with a bunch of answers right now and that people need to get fired and stuff like that. But the record, the numbers you just threw out there, that is not acceptable.
They do need to get fired. The draft picks have been atrocious.
Yeah, Jalen Wright had one carry today. We traded up for him, by the way. Patrick Paul, he's playing because Teron Armstead's been hurt, although Teron Armstead's going to be a Hall of Famer.
We've been signing old guys that get hurt, right? It's enough is enough. 24 years.
Mm-hmm. It's unacceptable.
So what are we going to do about it as Dolphin fans? We need to literally not show up to the stadium and send a message to Stephen Ross that we had it. They're flying banners over Giant Stadium, right, with airplanes calling for changes. I'm sick and tired of this nonsense.
It is frustrating, and it's not been a short period. Like, you can maybe hear some New England Patriots fans like, we suck, this is unacceptable. Well, you had a good period. We didn't have that good period.
If we run it back with Chris Greer and Mike McDaniel and the excuses Tua was out for 4 weeks, and that's why we missed the playoffs, if anybody buys season tickets next year, we're idiots.
Howie,
we're all idiots.
I hate to
we're
say
being duped again.
You might get that, though, next year. You might get everybody coming back next year.
It's ridiculous.
It's time to call for more. No, I agree. And what he says right there, Grieper, it's unacceptable. No one can accept a 3-15, but they've been against good teams or not winning for 24 years. Well, they're the Patriots for a long time. That's a lot of excuses. No more time for that.
You forgot the most favorite excuse of all. But we have all these injuries.
Who doesn't? Texans had tons of injuries today too. They still won the game. We didn't make plays. That's why we lose these games. Now, Buffalo week 2, no, they're just better than us. I'm sorry. But in these big games, oftentimes we just don't make the big plays.
Yeah, but you go back at just like you're just saying now. Arizona, that should have been a win.
Indianapolis,
Titans should have been a win.
Indianapolis should have been a win.
You have 3 more wins already this year. You'd be fine.
Yeah, you're right where you need to be.
Yep.
305-567-0560. Back to the phone lines. 560 WQAM. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, what's up, guys? How you doing?
I'm I'm alive.
Not very good, right?
I'm not going to lie to you and tell you, oh, no, man, things are great. I'm a little upset.
This is Harry. I used to live in the Grove, but I live in North Carolina now.
No, you're the Grove guy.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just going to call it like I see it.
Please.
I think that, Stephen Ross is a great seller of things. He obviously has sold a lot of condos, sold a lot of real estate. But the National Football League, you're not going to sell your way out of this, man. And you can build all the roofs you want on the stadium. You can hold all the events that you have around the stadium. You can build all the buildings that you have around the stadium. But the football team decisions are horrendous. And they have been since you took over the team.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is. And you're not going to be able to sell your way out of this. You need to find somebody who can make decent decisions for you, because obviously you are very poor at making football decisions. And you're not going to have radio show hosts like you have in the morning sell you out of this. You're not going to have, your head coach who pontificates every time he's asked a question. He's not going to sell you out of this. All right. You need to make some serious decisions about this football team, because everybody now is starting to call out Stephen Ross. They don't give a damn about the tennis tournament. They don't give a damn about the races. They don't give a damn about the roof. They care about the football team. Okay. And so, unless he starts to just admit, look in the mirror and just say, you know what, I've screwed this up, and I'm not going to be able to sell my way out of this. I need to get somebody in here that can make decent decisions so that we can get players in here that can win football games. And that's just the way it is. So, everybody knows Stephen Ross spends a lot of money. Oh, I spend money here, spend money there, spend money there, all that kind of crap.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that all covers it all up, right? Okay. But the football team stinks. Okay. And the decisions that you have, this guy, the head coach is a nice guy, I assume. I don't know him personally. Okay. But the Texans don't have that good of a football team. I mean, they're not that well coached. I mean, they were throwing the ball at the end of the game when all they had to do was run it and run the clock out. I was looking at the game and going, what the hell are they doing? All they have to do is run the ball, and they were throwing the ball, trying to give us the game. Okay? But we've got a quarterback that shouldn't be playing here. We all know that. All right? He's here for political reasons. Oh, my God, he got screwed over. You got to stop selling and start producing. And that's what I have to say.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to get to it. Like in the great show Entourage, Ari Gold once said, in life, there are only scoreboards, no asterisks. And it's reasonable to think about this, Creeper. If you're a fan of an organization and a football team like the Miami Dolphins, like the Green Bay Packers, like the New Orleans Saints, it's understandable that there's going to be an ebb and flow. There's going to be down times because you're going to have to rebuild and retool. And there's going to be high times because you've retooled and rebuilt. The Dolphins have been fair to Midland, and that's being generous, for 25 years now. That's not, as a fan base, that's not acceptable. I'll take the highs with the lows, but they have to be somewhat even. This team hasn't given you a high, and they've given you some lows.
Oh, they definitely have. And I remember back when they got rid of Don Shula because he wasn't winning enough for them back then. Brought in Jimmy Johnson, went to Dave Wanstead, Parcells, went down the line from everybody from that point forward. And here's the problem is that they've been stuck in that situation where you're not good enough to win it all. You're not bottom of the basement. You're there. And that's a kind of a place where you just don't want to be. You'd rather be in that position where you go out, you win a Super Bowl like the Rams, and now you're kind of back to middling. You want to go all out to win it all. Unfortunately, that team has never been in that situation now since the 80s.
Yeah.
I mean, think about that.
Let me just ask you this too, and it might sound a little crazy. Past 2 years, the narrative has been you can only beat up on sucky teams. You can't beat a good team. Would you rather have that, or maybe this year, week 2, you go in and beat Buffalo, but then later in the year, you lose when you're not supposed to lose to, like New England? At least maybe you show that you can go in and beat a good team. This team hasn't even shown they can beat a good team.
No, they haven't shown that at all. And
maybe
that's
some
the
up
other.
and down is better.
No, I mean, that's the disappointing part is that you could go into these games now and know how the Dolphins are going to show up.
I did it this morning, and I got crucified for it. Whose team are you on? What do you do? I go, because we've done it every time this year and last year. Whenever we played a good team, we're changing the narrative. It's going to be different, and it never changes. And I said, I'm done.
I mean, I feel like we're in Dennis Green territory here. We are who we think we are.
Yeah. You're not a bad fan for being honest about what's going on. If you were like me this morning and said, I've been duped too many times by this team until they go in and beat a good team at home or on the road, I'm not doing this anymore where this is our week. No, make me change the way I feel.
Now, it's like Axel Foley. We're not going to get fooled by the banana in the tailpipe anymore.
We've been fooled by the banana in the tailpipe. And I'm someone that kept falling and kept falling. I'm not falling for it anymore. And I think most fans are starting to be like, enough is enough.
Yep.
Enough is enough. But if a team can't find a way to have an ebb and a flow and a good and a bad, and is bad for 25 years, that's not on a coach because there's been multiple coaches. That's not on the players because there's been multiple players. That's on the organization. That is an organizational issue. And now you see why people want Stephen Ross to step down and Chris Greer to at least get fired. Some things to change organizationally because every team should be able to have some type of ebb and a flow. I've seen teams like the New Orleans Saints where Mike Benson, the owner, for years didn't care about wins and losses, cared about the bottom line. And then one day he figured, okay, how about I be a real owner and try to win some things? And lo and behold, they won a Super Bowl.
Although that Super Bowl was because the Dolphins made the dumb move by going with Dante Culpepper over Drew Brees. If it wasn't for that move, could you imagine the difference between the Saints franchise and the Dolphin franchise if the Dolphins went and chose Drew Brees over Dante Culpepper?
You would have probably, the Dolphins would probably have 2 Super Bowls now.
Could you imagine?
More. Maybe more.
Oh,
maybe more. Bad decisions lead to really bad times. We're having a good time with you, though. 305-567-0560. Taking a break. Back with more of your phone calls here on Game Day Uncensored.
free Odyssey app and made WQAM your favorite station? Do it. Listen to us live or on demand and use the rewind feature to go back and listen to any part of any shows you might have missed.
Time for more Game Day Uncensored, post-game edition on AM 560 Sports, WQAM, FM 99.9 HD2, and always live on the free Odyssey app.
Sponsored by South Florida Lexus dealers, Tito's Handmade Vodka, Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac, JM Lexus, and Williamson Automotive.
Another loss for the Dolphins to a playoff caliber team on the road has a lot of fans and people just wondering what is up with this team and what is the answer to not beating good teams, especially good teams on the road, even though all they had to deal with was the air conditioning tonight. The defense, fantastic. They did lose 20-12. The defense, fantastic. The offense, not super great. Tua threw it to the other team a couple of times. Didn't make big plays. The special teams, not so super great either. They got duped on a fake punt, and they missed an extra point for the second week in a row. 20-12. Want to hear from you? 305-567-0560, 560 WQAM. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Jarrett from Indianapolis. How you guys doing tonight?
Hanging in there, Jarrett, man. Just trying to figure it all out. What you got?
Well, I appreciate this forum that we can go on and we can all gripe and moan and air out our frustrations. But I am absolutely fed up with this fan base. I'm fed up with just the ignorance. 2018 should have been the last day that Chris Greer ever worked for the Miami Dolphins. Was the day that Stephen Ross wanted to draft Lamar Jackson. And Chris Greer said, nope, we're going with Minkah Fitzpatrick. And if you don't like it, fire me. Well, that should have been his last day, because from that moment on, he has proven he has no idea how to evaluate talent. He has no idea how to select, how to draft, how to trade. He has no idea who to extend, who not to extend. He has no idea how to work the salary cap. And he has put this team for the last 25 years in positions to be unsuccessful. Look, I don't think Tua is the problem. Tua is a very talented quarterback with extremely good head on his shoulders. He has great timing. He makes great decisions. The problem is the team that's been built around him is completely flawed. It is absolutely the worst offensive line I could possibly imagine, and it continues to stay bad every year. Last year, he extended Austin Jackson for some unknown reason. Liam Eichenberg continues to play. He hits on one guy and he lets him go. It's just unbelievable how bad the decision-making is. Look, I like Tyreek Hill. I think he's great, but when he's all you've got offensively, because your offensive line cannot give your quarterback more than 3 seconds and cannot open up a hole for a running back, he's going to be ineffective because he will be able to take him out of the game. Odell Beckham, terrible decision. Can't get River Craycraft to do anything. Braxton Barrett's like, what's wrong with our backup quarterback situation? I saw a stat today that Tim Boyle threw 1 touchdown and 14 interceptions in his college career, and that dude's still kicking around in this league and losing games for us. I'm here in Indy. I was at the game in Indy. It was the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. So I am just fed up with this fan base thinking that our problem is QB1 when it is absolutely not the problem. The problem is the GM. Our head coach did great for a year, but he is not a head coach. I don't even know that he's an offensive coordinator because his play calling is awful. He has been figured out. It's easy to stop this offense now, and he has no answers. So the problem if you had an Andy Reid with Tua, this guy would be an multiple MVP because he is just like the Drew Brees you guys were talking about earlier. He is not a big arm guy, but he is a very good quarterback. So that's all I want to beef about. Yeah, the game was frustrating. Yeah, I'm tired of Chris Greer. And if that guy makes another selection for this team, I don't know what I'll do. But like I said, 2018 should have been his last day. And thanks for letting us vent, guys. I appreciate you.
Jarrett brings up a good point for all the people that say Tua is trash or not good. If you put him with Andy Reid, I guarantee you would be seeing unbelievable things from Tua and the team that he is leading. I still think Tua might be getting a good combination. You're just having a rough year right now. 305-567-0560. Back to the phone lines, 560 WQAM. Hello.
Hey, what's going on, Gameday? How's everything, brother?
I'm feeling all right, man. What you got going on?
Let me tell you something. You know, I've been a Dolphins season ticket holder for 10 years, since 2014. You know, I went through the Ryan Tannehill time, and now I'm going through this era of Miami Dolphins football. You know, spent over $5,000 on season tickets in section 142. Thought that this team was turning, you know, they're turning the page. It was going to be a team that was going to potentially stop being the little brother of the Buffalo Bills and actually win the freaking division. And then we go into this game. Actually, we go back to the Green Bay game where we had that muff punt by Malik Washington.
Yeah.
I called a best buddy of mine and I told him, hey, this game is over. Why is this game over? Because the reason why, when you have seen Miami Dolphins football, mind you, I was born in 1988. When you see those type of mistakes just to start a Miami Dolphins football game in a big-time game, they end up losing. Now, you go to this Houston game. Let me tell you, I know Tua wasn't the problem in this game, but he wasn't the solution either.
No.
I believe that. Go ahead, Dan. My bad.
No. I'm going. Grieber disagrees. I don't think he was the solution. I don't think he was the only problem, but he did throw the ball to the other team a couple times.
Yeah, and to me, I felt like he was too. I believe his nerves might have gone the best of him. I think he was nervous. There is a particular play in the fumble that he was doing the little happy feet dance, like he didn't know what to do with the football.
No, his offensive line was letting guys through like it was a turnstile.
Yeah, but this is why we blame Chris Greer. This is why I told my representative, hey, I'm not renewing.
Wow.
And he goes, hey, let's our starting quarterback has been out 4 games. Let's see what happens the rest of the season. I'm like, listen, this is the general manager's job, not my job. You guys get paid the big bucks to make these decisions, to win big-time football games, starting by winning the division, winning big games during the season, a la Green Bay Packers, Buffalo Bills, and now the Houston Texans. And now we're sitting at 6-8.
You bring up a good point. And what's our biggest win of the year thus far?
Against the Rams, I believe.
Yep, against the Rams on Monday night. Against the Rams, at the time, a team that was either at 500 or right below 500. That was our biggest win of the year on a Monday night. Wow. It seems like every time we've been asked to step up, we just have not stepped up, and we just didn't make plays. We just did not make plays. Ugh, don't know what the answer is. And you're hearing for Andy. He said right there, he's not renewing his season tickets. Enough is enough. And if you're a Dolphins fan, that's your prerogative. You have the right for that. And they're not giving you a lot of reasons to file into the stadium because, Grieber, we've broken down how expensive it is to go to a Dolphins game between travel, parking passes, food, drinks, time. It's not cheap. We're talking hundreds, maybe even over $1,000.
Oh, it's definitely not cheap. And, you're definitely not getting your money's worth over there right now with the product that the Dolphins are putting out right now. You know, going back to what he just said, I'm sorry, but if your quarterback gets 1 touchdown in a game and gets you a total of 12 points, 3 picks, I'm sorry, but that's a problem.
It's hard to win games that way. It is hard to win games that way. 305-567-0560, 560 WQAM. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello?
Hey, what's going on?
Listen, I think we need to get rid of Chris Greer. I'll keep Tua because we stuck with Tua, we stuck with Tyreek, but Chris Greer needs to go.
Somebody
Chris
needs to
Greer
go.
is the one. We need a new GM to come in to make the decision about the coach and the future of that team. And Stephen Ross needs to stop winning the offseason and put somebody in charge that knows football. Stephen Ross knows construction, but he does not know football. So we need football people to deal with the football operations of the Miami Dolphins.
Now, be careful, though. Now, if you get a new general manager, that new general manager may come in and want to cook with their own groceries. So you might be finding yourself in another situation where you're having to rebuild. Are you okay with doing that?
I'm okay with the rebuild because I'm looking at teams and, the Dolphins are never patient. I look around the league and I look at coaches that came from the Dolphins. Look at the Detroit Lions. They had Dan Campbell, but they weren't patient. Dan Campbell wasn't a big flashy name. But now look at the Detroit Lions now. And look at the Miami Dolphins. We should be ashamed of ourselves.
Yeah, the Texans, look, they were part of the rebuild. The Texans rebuilt after us, and they've already turned things around. Won a playoff game last year, and now going to be back in the playoffs again this year. Remember Laramie Tunsil? We traded. We got all their guys. They were in a rebuild. They turned it around quicker than us, and today they proved it once again that they turned it around quicker than us.
Exactly, and that's why Chris Greer is the common denominator of all our failures and minimal successes. So we need to change the GM and bring somebody in that actually know what they're doing because Chris Greer, his time has passed.
It does seem like there are some fundamental problems with the Dolphins because you don't you don't go on a 25-year playoff win drought without there being some deeper problems than just personnel and coaching. 305-567-0560, 560 WQAM. What's your name? Where you calling from?
All day, Dan Day.
Yo.
Love when you're on the show, dude. Hey, man, the biggest frustrating part about all of this is you can't really put your finger on what the solution is. I mean,
I agree
with you. Tua is good, maybe borderline great. I will challenge you in that I don't think he's elite for one simple reason. He's very accurate, but he doesn't have the one thing you want your quarterback to have, and that's killer instinct, bro.
Yeah.
That's what your Patrick Mahomes have, your Josh Allen's even. Those guys, when the game is on the line, they put the team on their shoulder and they go out there and they get you the win. And for as good as Tua is statistically, he just doesn't have that. And I don't know if that's something you can be taught or learned, because that's really the one thing really that's missing from his game. The other thing, if you remember when Mike McDaniel, I think his first game coaching for the Miami Dolphins, he had some, I don't know if this is radio appropriate, a ballsy call on fourth down toward the end of the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Tyreek came out after the game and publicly stated that Mike McDaniel was going to need a wheelbarrow to tote around his junk, right?
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, ever since then, his junk shrivels up when the game is on the line. Like he gets it, like the spirit of Dave wants that run, punt just takes over, and he gets so conservative that I don't think he's the future just based on the simple fact that when the game is hanging in the bounce, man, he doesn't go for it. And I want to call your attention to one play, and you tell me what you think about this. I want to say it was late second quarter, maybe. We had the ball. Tua was flushed out of the pocket, and he was rolling to his strong side, going to his left. So it's not like he was throwing back across his body. He way overthrows Tyreek for a first down.
It went way out of bounds, correct?
Yeah, and that's the one where, if you notice, this is what kind of ticked me off about Tyreek Hill as well. He ended up kicking the ball. Like, if you can get your leg out there to kick it, I need you for the money we're paying you to dive and get that first down, number one. Number two, for as much trash as Tyreek talks, and I love him, okay, I love having it on the team, you can't let somebody take the ball out your hands on the last drive like that. You've absolutely got to up and get that play.
Yeah, I did notice Tyreek Hill kick the ball, and I found that very odd. I thought maybe there may be some frustrations that are boiling over that aren't being talked about in the media, that he's frustrated. That was a really bad pass from Tua Tagovailoa. And you're right. If you're a leader of men, you're a leader of a team, and you need plays to win games, and the ball is in both of your hands, you cannot let someone take it out of your hands. And I know the guy had momentum and he could have pulled it. You got to go out there and you got to be strong. But that's the difference between winning big games and losing big games, right there.
Bro, what's that, $350 million right there going back and forth with each other? We got to make that happen, man.
You got to make it happen. And you have actually talked me into this. You're right. Tua, I'm going to take back the elite status that I gave him, because elite quarterbacks find ways to make big plays in big games and win big games. That's why you see Patrick Mahomes 4th and 3 in the Super Bowl. You have no doubt that he's going to get it. You find guys, Joe Burrow is a little different this year, but Joe Burrow, you have every confidence he's going to make a play. Josh Allen, at least in the regular season or in the postseason when he's not playing against Patrick Mahomes, you're like, man, they're just going to find a way to do it. Tua
you don't know how it's going to happen, but you know it's absolute. They're going to get it done, man. And that's what we don't have. But I agree with you also. It's like, to move on from Tua would be to what? There's so much unknown that you almost got to kind of roll with it. So we'll see what they come back with next year. Dan Day, boy, it's going to be a rough one for you with Joe Rose in the morning, man. I'll be thinking about you, dude.
I appreciate it so much, man. Much, much love. That's true. All these guys that we talked about, the elite quarterbacks, make big plays at big moments. Tua, Dolphins, get the ball. 1st and 10, minute 44 left on the clock. Drive the field. You can tie the game. What happens in the first play, Robert Grieper?
It's not good.
Interception. And that's the one Tyreek Hill had in his hands. I think both of the guys shoulder some blame for that one right there. 305-567-0560, 560 WQAM. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Dan Day.
Yo.
Hey, it's Cap, bro.
Cap, good to hear from you, man.
Listen, man. Look, I'm not gonna get into a soliloquy here, bro, because everything pretty much that I preached all season, the fan base is starting to say now. But my thing is, I need to hear from Houdini Hawkman, bro. Houdini Hawkman has a way of getting out of a jam without answering for his crimes. That guy compared this quarterback to Dan Marino. And respectfully so, with everything that's gone on today, I hope DeBarge is okay, bro. I didn't want to see that happen. For that to happen, for Tua to get strip sacked, fumble the ball away, throw 3 picks, I've never seen Dan Marino do that in December. I'm sorry. I might have maybe a vague imagination or a vague memory of what happened when Marino was here, but I've never seen that before. So for Mark Hawkman to compare Tua to Dan Marino, bro, you need to answer for your crimes, and I hope someone brings me the comedian soon and answer for his crimes, bro. The guy never takes calls and gets away like a magician, bro. So that's one thing for me. So the next thing, I'm not going to get into it about the scenario going forward because the game's not over yet. We got 3 games left. But mark my words, when the season's over, you're going to hear a lot of what I have to say in regards to what we're going to do next, because all you're hearing now from the fans that are getting calls to renew their season tickets last week, coincidentally enough, they want to know what the hell is going to happen this offseason moving forward.
Cap, we've had a lot of people
not being listened to. I mean, we got a scenario where the fans aren't being listened to, but they want their money. And I just hope that this radio station sticks to their guns and starts listening to the fans more, especially tomorrow morning on the Joe Rose Show, because I think now more than ever, I think Joe's going to have something to say, and I think it's going to benefit the fans.
Cap,
I would hope so.
Season ticket prices keep going up and up and up, and our playoff win numbers do not keep going up and up and up.
No, they don't.
And we've had a lot of people call this show all season long saying this is it. Last year for season tickets, they're done.
Look, they're giving us a premeditated soft rebuild. We knew this going into the season, and that was wrong. Now that the product on the field is not getting up to what we were being fed, bro, you're telling me that we're going to have to be stuck and going like quicksand the next season and we have to live with it? Do you think that's right for the fans, Dan Day?
No, it's not. It's not fair. It's not fair to the fans.
So why are we going to be? We're going to get so much mainstream media pub from this front office representation, being the beat writers that have relationships with the front office. That needs to stop as well. People need to start calling out, because right now it's national. It's being seen right now, bro. Like, at this point, we're stuck with the quarterback. It is what it is. But you're telling me right now you paid everybody else and we have to live with the product on the field now?
Cap, you know me, you know Grieper, we're not beholden to anybody. I'm not scared of anybody. I'm not looking for press passes.
It's about right and wrong, Dan Day.
No, I'm agreeing. I'm about being transparent and open. So if a fan has something to say and wants to come on this show and say it because they've been following this team since
nobody should be wrong for saying that the scenario today with the quarterback was bad play and the blame is supposed to be solely on him. If there's going to be more accountability today, I hope the quarterback takes it. But at this point, it's deeper than that. At this point,
I think everyone shoulders a little bit of blame today. Everyone, from the kicker to the quarterback to the receivers to the coaches to the special teams to the defensive. I mean, Jalen Ramsey's had some tough times this team. Everyone shoulders responsibility in wins.
Yeah,
everyone shoulders responsibility in losses.
You know that, and I know that, and everybody that's calling right now and for the rest of the week is going to be venting. If they all know that, don't you think that maybe we have a right to say, man, maybe something needs to change?
Something does need to change. I don't think they're not just a right. Something that's a fact. I mean, you saw what they did today, or what lack of what they did today. Like, no, things need to change.
Is a sophomore, and he's already better than us.
Things need to change for the Dolphins because I can't take this any longer. It's just this
Have a good one, man.
You too, man, Cap. It's tough. Reaper, it's unacceptable that you can't beat a team that is a playoff team from the year before, a team that's going to be a playoff team this year. The Rams might do it. I don't know. Nonetheless, that you go in every time and it's cold and the numbers show it. I'm not sitting there trying to be loud and proud and trying to – the numbers show it. If it's cold or if they're a good team, you're very bad.
The thing is that would you rather be in the situation of that you were getting your ass kicked in all these games, 30-point losers in these games, or you're basically at the point, as you can see in every single one of these. How many games have we lost 10 points or less this season?
Yeah, it's because we don't make the big plays.
And that's the situation that we're in right now. Is that every single one of these games they had a chance to win.
If they'd have made a couple of plays here and there, clutch plays. Clutch teams make clutch plays. And you always say, oh, they got lucky, or the refs. You say that about Kansas City. Maybe they're just clutch. And teams that aren't clutch don't make the clutch plays. And you say that about the Dolphins. Maybe they're just not clutch. Tyreek Hill, catch that pass. Don't let him steal it from you. Tua, throw it a little bit more into a window that Tyreek can catch. Don't miss an extra point. I mean, there's all these things. Make plays. Because clutch teams make plays, not clutch teams don't make clutch plays. And then you lose 20-12, scoring only 12 points. Also, that was not very good. Not good. Not good. Come back. One more segment, taking your phone calls. Going to hear from Mike McDaniel in just a little bit. This is Game Day Uncensored, 560 WQAM.
QAM Miami, WPOW HD2 Miami, WKIS HD2 Boca Raton, an Odyssey Sports Station.
Powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys.
Call 1-800-7473.
That's 1-800-747-3733.
Game Day Uncensored, post-game edition.
We keep rolling. Don't be stressed. Y'all know what's online.
Recapping the Fins game. Real reaction, real opinions, real talk for real fans.
That sounds amazing.
On AM 560 Sports, WQAM, FM 99.9 HD2, and always live on the free Odyssey app.
Game Day Uncensored is sponsored by South Florida Lexus Dealers. Experience amazing by Tito's Handmade Vodka. Tito's Handmade Vodka on game day. Pour me in, coach. Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac. Make sure your next Cadillac is backed by Morse at Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac. Proud partner of the Miami Dolphins. By JM Lexus. At JM Lexus, you'll always get the home team advantage. And by Williamson Automotive. Williamson is Miami.
Still reacting to the Dolphins' 20-12 loss to the Houston Texans, a game that saw your Miami Dolphins rush for a putrid, terrible 52 total yards. 52 total yards on the ground from the Miami Dolphins, and they fall once again 20-12. 305-567-0560, the number to call. 560 WQAM. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
I am calling from Phoenix, Arizona. How you doing?
I'm doing great. It's good to hear from you. Did we talk last week?
We did not. I thought about calling, but I did not get the chance.
All right. Well, what's on your mind?
Well, I am 60, and I've been a fan of the Dolphins since 71 when they played the first Super Bowl against the Cowboys. And I am admittedly not the biggest Tua fan, but I would love to see the kid have the opportunity to play behind a top 5 offensive line, somebody like Detroit or the Eagles offensive line, just to see what the guy could do. Now, Bill Walsh once said, when he was asked by a reporter, what kind of receiver do you think you might be interested in taking in this draft? And Bill said, wide receiver. I'm not even going to think about that until I fix the offensive line. So I think until this team fixes the offensive line, if Tua is to be the guy, I don't think they're going anywhere. And I do think Greer needs to go. I think Mike needs to go, unfortunately. And I know it's, here we go every 3 or 4 years and it's the turnaround thing. But I just don't think with Greer there, I just don't think that's going to happen. He's been there. He's done that. He's tried that, and it hasn't been a success. So I think until they get the offensive line thing fixed, I don't think the Dolphins are going anywhere. And I don't think Hill needs to remain around. I think it's probably going to happen, and I don't think he's going to go anywhere. But I'd love to see the Dolphins get back to the style that the Eagles have currently gotten back to, and that's running the ball 56% of the time. But, you got the problems with A.J. Brown and whatnot and these beaver receivers, whatever. But I'd love to see the Dolphins go back to 70s style, Zonka kick and Morris type of run. I'm an older guy. I'd like to see them go back to the way it was.
Some things just work. Teams that are some of the best teams in the NFL. Are they physical or not on the front line? The Bills, absolutely. The Chiefs, absolutely. The Steelers, absolutely. The Ravens, absolutely. Now that's just in the AFC. In the NFC, the Eagles, absolutely. The Seahawks, absolutely. The Lions, yes. Vikings, yes. Seems to be a trend. You might be onto something.
It's where it all starts, brother, in the trenches.
And there's a few things that are tried and true, and you can come up with new schemes and newfangled offenses and defenses, and at the end of the day, some things just remain true. Being strong in the trenches and having a good running game will always get you far in this league.
Especially at this time of year.
Oh, love it. Oh, love it. So thank you so much for calling. If you ever get a chance to get out to Gracie's Tax Bar in Phoenix, one of my favorite places.
Gracie's. I will keep that in mind. Great show, Dan. Thank you
so much. Thank you so much. We're hearing from you. It doesn't matter. We've had Phoenix, Arizona. We've had South Carolina. We've had Indianapolis. We've, of course, had you here in South Florida. We want to hear from everyone all over the place. 305-567-0560, 560 WQAM. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Ian calling from Lauderhill.
Break it down, Dean. Ian,
And I'm about to say some things. I'm about to say some things that people are not going to be happy, but they need to be said.
They're good. Let's get it out.
When you look at Tua's return from his concussion, then if you have a chance, if you have a friend of yours that's a doctor, you ask him what happens when you're still affected with your eye-hand coordination. If you take Tua's last 15 throws and you compare them to the 15 throws prior to him being concussed, you're going to notice three things. He puts a lot of air on the ball, they're low, or they're extremely high. Okay? I think he's still affected. I think he's still affected by the concussions. Nobody wants to admit it because I don't know why we're so scared we don't want to admit it. Tua is not the guy. He's not built. I was born in Montreal, Canada. So some of the greatest players, coaches that I've known in different sports, like Scotty Bowman, right? Like Red Auerbach, right? Like Bill Parcells. All of them were tough coaches that demanded their players produce. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
What is our culture? They always have culture. There's always a culture. You go as your coach. We have no culture here. What are we? Are we a running team? Are we a tough team?
No, we're not a running team. We had 52 yards in total rushing today. We're not a running team.
Dan, let me ask you a question. Why is he not using that big boy right? Why isn't he using him? A-Chain is not. Yes, he can run between the tackles, but you can't keep using him. He's he's small. You understand what I'm saying? And then here's the thing. I'm sorry to say this. McDaniel reminds me of a high school kid, well known, okay? But some of the players liked him, and now he becomes part of the players, and he's so happy that they hang out with him, okay? He's a gimmick coach with gimmick plays. We have to admit this. No one wants to admit it. The reporters, and I'm not talking about you, Dan, because I listen to you. I know when you have to say something, you guys say what you need to say. But when he's conferences, there are jokes. Mm-hmm. There are jokes. And my God, I hope that kid can walk. That was totally on Tua. I was watching the game with my sons, and I said, Tua killed the kid. You understand what I'm saying? It's called a hospital ball. You put the ball way up too high for him. He had to jump up. You see the safety. And that's another thing, Dan. I don't know if you've noticed that. The 3 interceptions today had one thing in common. All of them, it's like Tua didn't see the player, the opposing player.
The first 3 for sure. Well, not the first 3 because there was only 3. The one that should have been intercepted, and then the first 2 were definitely
the first 2.
He threw it to the other team. I mean, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it and say, well, no, no, he threw it to the other team.
And it makes me wonder: does it go back to his concussion? And if you have a friend of yours that's a doctor, you ask him what happens when you've had 3 or 4 major concussions. Ask him about your eye-hand coordination. And I'm going to say this to end because I know there are other people waiting. Let me tell you something. I'm going to give you some names and you tell me what they all have in common. Muhammad Ali, Guy Lafleur, Pele, right? Tom Brady. What do they all have in common?
They won at the highest
These guys
level.
were killers. When it came time to kill you and to put their foot on you, they not only would they do it to you, they would do it to your mother.
Thank you so much, Ian. It's true. You're right. You're true. And then, Ian brings up a good point. Every team has culture. Every team has a personality. I'll be honest with you. This Dolphins, it's okay. You're still valuable. You're good. We don't yell. We don't scream. We don't get mad at each other. There's another team in this town that's known for having culture. And I'll let you know one thing. Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra, they do yell. They do scream. They do hold people accountable, and they get after you.
Although I'm wondering did they go too far the opposite way? Because remember when they had Flores here, that's exactly what was going on. Tua didn't feel confident because he was being belittled by Flores at all times. He was a tough, rough coach. Then they bring in McDaniel, who is the antithesis of what Flores was. And I'm kind of wondering if they went way too far the other way. You need to actually have somebody where there are going to be consequences for your action. I mean, I remember back in the day when Adam Gase was here, the offensive line wasn't doing well. He went out and cut 2 of the offensive linemen. Shows accountability. Do you see that on this roster whatsoever right now? That's the kind of the thing that I'm wondering is that, you know, when you have guys who make mistakes out there who are not playing up to their potential, what are the consequences for it?
Right now, not a lot of wins, at least against good teams. 305-567-0560, 560 WQAM. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Whitaker from Coral Springs.
Go for it, Whitaker. What you got?
2 points,
This
man.
call will be recorded.
All the Tua fans that I keep hearing, you know, talking about the offensive line. I've been watching football a long time. I don't see people standing back for 10, 15 seconds to throw the ball. I see quarterbacks who have to create spaces, have to make quick throws, have to, you know, be able to run around a little bit. Dan, do you remember that play that the quarterback made for the Texans where he went and he got hit?
Oh, and he still completed the pass for a first down on 3rd down. Yes, I remember that.
The one he got hit by our
Chop
rookie,
Robinson.
I think. Yeah, exactly. Like, dude, those are the plays you have to make sometimes, man.
Yeah.
Like, this idea that Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, by the way, Mahomes hasn't been playing with his tackles, and they're sitting there. He got crushed today against Cleveland, if you saw any of the highlights. And you just have to make plays. And it's not like Mahomes is having a great year, man. He's not having an incredible year.
His record says he is, though.
Plays that he has to make.
His record says he's having a good year.
Yeah, but it's been more defense and it's been some lucky plays here. My point is, like, quarterbacks that are forget elite. That's kind of a wish-wash word. Upper level that make a difference, that are there playing in the late playoff games. Dude, you have to raise your play regardless of how your teammates are playing in those key games. And as you always say, when you look at his record against those games, he rarely, once in a while, the Bills game, he played well, but we lost. Consistently, what you expect is exactly what, again, you saw again today. And enough is enough. And you know the definition of insanity, Dan.
I know.
And you can't turn this team over. And replace all the players. But one position that you can look at and you make simple changes, and you see it all over the league when they get a good quarterback who can be a game changer and make plays, even as a rookie, i.e. Bo Nix, you see a difference in how the team plays. That's all I wanted to say, bro.
I agree. Something has to change because what we're getting right now, we can't beat a good team. We can't win on the road. We can't win in the cold. Can't win a playoff game. That has to change. That's not acceptable. 305-567-0560, 560 WQAM. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, what's going on, Dan? It's George calling, actually from St. Augustine. So, earlier today, I posted on my social media that Dolphins were 0-15 winning teams on the road. Okay, and that it was not on our side. The Dolphins just, proved it right. They didn't change. One that I wish that I was a sideline is the head coach of the Lions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dan Campbell. Like, he has the culture, he has the narrative, he has the strength, he has the agility, he has everything that a head coach needs in order to move a winning team forward. The Dolphins don't have that. All these Tua fans, and I like Tua, but I'm on the Tua bandwagon because he doesn't show up in big games, okay? He does not know how to, read a defense. When was the last time you see him audible, right? Like, Tua is not it. He had 3 major interceptions today, that cost essentially the game, So, this all starts with, Greer, then falls down to McDaniel, then falls down to Tua. I think we should clean house, trade Hill, and then just move forward with our team because with Greer under the front office, we're not going anywhere. And I could only imagine what Dan Campbell would have done with our current offense that we have right now with the players on offense and on the defensive side. I mean, it's crazy.
I would say it would be a much different team if Dan Campbell were the coach right here at the Miami Dolphins. Still are, again, or however you want to look at it, much, much different team. I'm not saying Dan Campbell's the end-all, be-all. I'm saying it right now. He's got things going. Does that also get old in a system? It could also. Sometimes you wear players down, but right now he's got it rolling, and this Dolphins team has a lot to figure out. Coming back, take a quick break. Robert Grieper, Dan Day. This is Game Day Uncensored on 560 WQAM.
Text WQAM.
And always live on the free Odyssey app.
Sponsored by South Florida Lexus dealers, Tito's Handmade Vodka, Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac, JM Lexus, and Williamson Automotive.
With Robert Grieper, I am Dan Day, continuing to react to a game that didn't have a lot of offense. Also, not a lot of big plays from the Dolphins, especially when they needed them. Tua did not look especially sharp. I know you might say his completion percentage is great. Didn't seem to make the throws when he needed to make the throws. Didn't seem to make the throws when he needed to extend the series. And this team falls 20-12 to yet another team that is a playoff team, to yet another team on the road, and weather not a factor because it was indoors. Still hearing from you, 305-567-0560, 560 WQAM. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Name's Grant from Houston.
Grant. Oh, go ahead. You're from Houston. Let's see what's going on.
Well, I was at the game today, and it was very disappointing to continue to see this garbage be put out there. I got to say, for me, I always wanted to give McDaniel a little bit of a chance, but I think a lot of the problem with the culture of the team really lies with him. He saved Tua as a quarterback and brought him back from the ashes, but at the beginning of the year when he made the comment, I don't know, Dan, if you ever caught it, where he said that he considered himself like one of the players, one of the teammates on the team, and that it was everybody's team. And it said enough for me that he's just not a firm enough leader. And if they don't come out prepared, they're either overly penalized. Very disappointing. You know, I've been a fan. I'm almost 60. I've been a fan since 72.
Yeah, and you know, the thing is, Grant, I am a fan of your coach, not when I say your friend, but your coach being friendly with you. I do think that works. Of course, I've never been in an NFL locker room, so I don't know how that dynamic works, but something seems to be wrong this year.
I think that there is a new breed of player out there. You can't be Don Shula and just be up their butt all day long, but you got to have a little bit more of the buck stops with me, right. You know, the door's open, but it's something is not clicking. Certainly, I think Greer definitely needs to go. I like Tua. He's good enough to win.
Doesn't make big plays. Does not make. And when I say big plays, I'm not talking about deep plays. I'm talking about big plays and big points in games.
For sure. And think about this: when Tua was out for 4 games. McDaniel was. You're right, but McDaniel did not design his offense he just tried to continue to do the same offense when he could have taken advantage of what the players' skills were and redid a different game plan.
Grant,
and he really did that.
Grant, I really thought he did turn the corner in that first Patriots game when they really kind of went to the ground and pound. And I said, wait a second, he's adjusting. We're going to be a running team this year. And lo and behold, today we had 52 yards of total rushing yards today.
You're not wrong. I don't know why Mostert just sits on the. I know he's not. The line is definitely part of the big problem, but run blocking should be easier than pass blocking. And you can't run a 190-pound back up through the center and expect to get big results on the running game. Achane's a great change of pace back, but he can't carry the whole load. We should be using Jalen Wright. I just don't.
One time Jalen Wright touched the ball. We traded up in the draft for him in the 4th round, and we used him one time. Grant, I want to ask you this. You are obviously a very strong Dolphins fan, and we appreciate that. What were your expectations going into this season for the Dolphins?
You know, before it all got started, I thought that we would do at least as good as we did last year, maybe a little bit better. I thought the defense wasn't going to be quite as good, but losing Kristen Wilkins. But I thought we could do at least what we did last year and win a playoff game.
I thought we were going to win a playoff game. I'll be honest with you. I thought we were going to win a playoff game. Stephen Ross told us we should expect a Super Bowl caliber team this year. He told us that in the preseason.
He did. And I'll let you go with this. I'm like Joe Rose. I can't get my head around why we have 2 dynamic receivers and we just say that we can't get them the ball. All of a sudden we can't get them the ball, and we're spending so much money on those guys. How in the world do they not get those guys the ball.
Grant, it's criminal. Today, Tyreek Hill, 2 receptions, 36 yards. And I know Jalen Waddle had the injury problems. 0 receptions, 0 yards.
It just
it's criminal.
You know, I mean, if you would use those guys properly, and with Jonnu Smith, and with a solid running game, we should have had even a better offense than last year.
I mean, that's just criminal. That those 2 guys, that's the production you're getting from them. Well, Nico Collins.
I don't know why.
Nico Collins alone for the other team almost had a better day.
Yeah. I appreciate your insight, and thanks for taking my call.
Thank you, Grant. Very appreciated, Grant. Very cool guy right there. You can tell he's disappointed, but he's still a ride or die Dolphins fan, and that's the way we are. 305-567-0560, 560 WQAM. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello?
Yo, what you got?
Okay, yeah. My name is Stevie Jackson. I'm in Arizona right now, but I'm from Miami, a native. I'm 32 years old, like the other guy said. And Deshaun Elliott wasn't lying about it, because the society of Miami is important to lifestyle, and they're not held accountable. You get what I'm saying? The philosophy has to change, because we got all these little running back, little receivers, and a little quarterback, and they don't care about the line of scrimmage, because the line of scrimmage is important. And I was worried when Chris Greer said, "Oh, y'all worrying about it more than us." But that's what's important about football. Why you not focusing on the line of scrimmage? Because your quarterback's getting hurt.
You're right,
For
Stevie.
nothing.
You're right, Stevie. We do have very
You get what I'm saying? Like,
small running backs, small quarterbacks, small receivers, and an offensive line that isn't that great.
Right. Exactly. And another thing is, I don't know who said it. One of you, no, you said that they trying to make a 7-on-7 team.
Yeah.
But it's a physical game.
I know. They forget that you need offensive line, defensive line. You need to be tough.
Exactly. And honestly, I'm from Miami. I was born and raised in Miami-Dade, and I stayed like 30 seconds from the stadium growing up. And I seen this, like Jay Fielder, Chad Pennington, who else? Even Ryan Tannehill. Listen, this is the best quarterback we had since Dan Marino. However, they're not building a team around him right. And the reason why that Waddle and Tyreek got off, because they didn't have no tape on how the offense is going to go.
Yeah.
And last season was the only opportunity we had fighting for the number 1 spot.
Guess what we did when we had a chance? We had a chance to be the number 2 seed last year. All we had to do, Stevie, was win the final game against Buffalo at home.
That's all we had to do, is take care of business. Because honestly, I worked at the Miami Stadium too. I worked at the Hard Rock Stadium a couple years ago, and even the people and employees that work around, they smiling like nothing is wrong with the team. And I'm like, oh man. I'm like, oh snap. Here
You're
we
right.
go.
You're right, Stevie. We don't take care of business. I've been saying it all day. We don't make big plays when big plays are needed. When the going gets tough, we don't get tough. And the thing is, nothing changes. So something has to change. We stop smiling, start playing. It's frustrating, Steve. We appreciate you riding with us, man. We appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm trying to hold on. Man.
Ride or die, baby. Ride or die. That's Stevie right there. One more call tonight. We have appreciated everyone listening and joining us. As always, you're welcome here. Game Day Uncensored. Win or lose. 305-567-0560, 560 WQAM. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on? How you doing?
I'm a little disappointed right now.
Yeah, me too. Well, I'm listening to a lot of fans and a couple of things that you're saying, Dan. And one thing I disagree with, something that you said, Dan, is that you like the friendly coach, and I think that's this team's problem.
Yeah, no. I said in general, I liked friendly coaches. I didn't say it always worked. I don't know if it's working for this Dolphins team.
Yeah, and I noticed a lot of fans are, going back to Dan Campbell and when he was here, but, you don't even have to go that far back to Dan Campbell, because we had Brian Flores.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing. That year where we got rid of all of those players, and I think we won like 5 games, that was totally coaching. For us to win 5 games with that team, that was coaching. And every year that Brian Flores was here, the team progressed in wins, but they still got rid of him. You brought in a coach where he's friendly with the coach, and look at what we had. A team takes on the identity of their coach.
Yeah.
And right now, you see what we're made of.
Hey, you also bring
and
up a
the
good
sad
point.
thing about it is, the sad thing about it is nothing's going to change. Because as long as Stephen Ross is the owner, and he has the right to be the owner, he has the money.
Yeah.
Chris Greer is going to be the general manager. As long as Chris Greer is going to be the general manager, Mike McDaniels is going to be the coach. And as long as Mike McDaniels is going to be the coach, Tua is going to be the quarterback. So we're in a sunken place.
Hey, you bring up a good point. We brought this up yesterday on my show, Sports Day, with Vladimir. Two guys that were known for being, hard asses and maybe a little too hard on the players, Brian Flores and Vic Fangio. People to this day still knock them for the way they acted. We looked up how their defenses are doing overall this year in the NFL. Guess who has the number one defense in all of the NFL? It's Vic Fangio.
Is it the Vikings or the Eagles?
Philadelphia Eagles have the number one defense in all of the NFL. We had a top 10 defense last year with Vic Fangio. We still have a really good defense now. Not knocking that. Look at Brian Flores, what he's doing over there in Minnesota, another top 10 defense. Maybe a little tough love, a little tough coaching is the way you need to go sometimes with the team.
Yeah, Dan, because your coach is your coach. I'm 47 years old. My football career ended after high school, and I appreciated my coach. He was a father figure to a lot of players, but he was a coach, and he was in your face. Your coach has to be your coach. I mean, I know these new generation players, things are a little different now, but your coach has to be your coach.
I understand.
And that's part of this team's problem. The coach is their friend. Like you said, there's no accountability nowhere. No accountability nowhere. When Tua mess up, Daniels is not going to get in his face because that's his friend. So, that's the problem.
That's a good
and
point.
Like I said, it's sad because this is going to be the norm, at least maybe till some contracts expired. I don't know how long McDaniel's contract is. How long
3 more
Tua's
years
contract
after,
is.
3 years after this year. Most of them are basically just 3 years after this year. It all kicks in next year for Tua's 5, but Tyreek and Waddle and McDaniel 3 years following this year.
And I heard a couple fans say, trade Hill or get rid of Hill. I wouldn't get rid of Tyreek Hill. He's not the problem. Yeah, he caught the pass and then, it landed in the cornerback's hand, but Tyreek Hill is not the problem. Trust me, it's not Tyreek, because he'll go to another team and he'll have a 2,000 yard season.
I think scheming up for Tyreek Hill is the way to go. Yeah, you're right. But yeah, your boss can't always be your friend. It's good. You gotta draw that line. I understand. Yeah, Tyreek Hill. I think you scheme up for Tyreek Hill. We know what he can do, so I don't think Tyreek Hill is that much of a problem. I think his lack of production this year is not totally on him. I think it's a little more on some of the schemes and some of the things that have been done, but we'll see. Thank you so much for the call. We're going to get to our JM Lexus Player of the Game next. Robert Grieber, Dan Day, Gameday Uncensored, 560 WQAM.
It's time for the
Time for more Game Day Uncensored, post-game edition on AM 560 Sports, WQAM, FM 99.9 HD2, and always live on the free Odyssey app.
Sponsored by South Florida Lexus dealers, Tito's Handmade Vodka, Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac, JM Lexus, and Williamson Automotive.
It is time for our JM Lexus Player of the Game at JM Lexus. It's the perfect time to catch the deal you've been waiting for. As the Golden Opportunity Sales event continues, don't miss your opportunity to score even more now at JM Lexus. Of course, Robert Grieper, I got to go with the defensive side of the ball. The defense was unbelievable for the Dolphins today. Unfortunately, the offense did not come up with enough big clutch plays, and they kind of let them down, spoiling a day where that defense was absolutely just lights out fantastic. CJ Stroud, 18 for 26, 131 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, though. Running game for them was not that great either. Their receptions, nothing too great. It kind of took some bells and whistles with fake punts and other things like that, and some interceptions from the Dolphins, long returns on those interceptions from the Dolphins. So I am going to go with my JM Lexus Player of the Game, the rookie, Chop Robinson, much maligned early in the year, a guy who never gets home but always gets close, the bridesmaid, never the bride. Well, he has been a massive man this end of the season, getting to the I thought he had 2 sacks today, but they gave him a sack and a half. He and Zach Sealer combined for that late sack at the end of the game, and he was all over CJ Stroud all day long. For a guy, like I said, beginning of the season, the knock on him was we always knew he was never going to get to the quarterback. He'd always get close, but no cigar. He's been getting that cigar lately. I thought he had 2 sacks. They gave him a sack and another half a sack. He got to the quarterback first. Zach Sealer will also finishing with a half a sack. Zach Sealer got to him second, though. Don't want to take too much away from the big bear, Zach Sealer from Ferris State, but I'm going to give it to the rookie Chop Robinson for what he has done, not just today, because he was great today. Probably the best defensive player, in my opinion, getting to the quarterback, rushing CJ Stroud, getting him off his rhythm, but also for what he's been able to do this second half of the season as the game has gotten a little slower for him. Who is your JM Lexus Player of the Game, Grieper?
To paraphrase Farouk Assault, I'm going to go with you can't stop the Sealer. Zach Sealer definitely deserves it for today.
Zach Sealer, once again, 1.5 sacks. He had a tackle. He had an assist. He was all over the place. It just seems like, man, how did this guy for so long have so much trouble staying on a team? Got cut from the Ravens, kind of bounced around, was living out of an RV with his old lady, and now he is the heart and soul, along with Calais Campbell. Seems like Chop Robinson of this defense that, I mean, let's just be honest. They had a very good day on defense. Total yards, gave up 181 yards today. Passing yards, 104 passing yards, Grieper. Rushing yards, only 77 yards, 3.6 yards per play. That is a defense that will travel well. The only problem is when you have an offense that can only score 12 points and turns the ball over almost 4 times, really 3. No, they turn the ball over 4 times, almost 5 times. An interception that the other team dropped because it just went right into the guy's hand. He was startled. Oh, you lose 20-12. A couple of quick stats real quick. These are not pretty stats for either side, but got to get with the Dolphins. Tua Tagovailoa, not his best day. Definitely not enough to win. He was 29 for 40, 196 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions, and it could have easily been 4. And, you know, his completion percentage might be high, but when you're throwing dinks and dunks, and you saw the stat during the game, 25% of the passes this season have been behind the line of scrimmage. That is the most in the NFL. That is not an exciting stat. I'm sorry.
Yeah, when the speed that you have on offense, how you're not having them actually gain the ball in motion, I don't know.
Oh, and Tua, by the way, stop diving head first. We don't need first downs that badly. Sorry. I'm just being honest, Grieper. I don't need that.
You would have thought he learned by now.
Nope, he's not. And you know what? I've given up on it. If you want to keep rolling the dice and playing Russian roulette with your health, go ahead now. I can't help you anymore. And I mean, God bless, you know, we're keeping in our mind and thought Grant DeBose, who had what looked like some type of very bad either neck or head injury. We don't know right now. God bless him. But Tua, take a look at that right there. Do you want that to be you? You've got a history. Start sliding or just start throwing the ball away. I don't need to see you. And he also didn't get the first down, and there was a hold, so they didn't even. It was a moot point anyway. We love you. Appreciate the effort, but we need you on the field. We've seen what the team does without you. To a stop. Just stop it. Our running game is, I don't know. Is it non-existent? What is it? A total. Not even 20 attempts today. Not even 20 attempts. 19 attempts. 52 total rushing yards. Devon Achane led the team, I guess. 12 carries, 41 yards. Raheem Mostert, 6 carries, 8 yards. Raheem Mostert's been just, his yards per carry are just bad. And Jalen Wright, the rookie who we traded up for again in the 4th round, probably our biggest, strongest back. 1 carry for 3 yards. Receiving, nope. You got a big game. Why go to Tyreek Hill? Why go to Jalen Waddle when you can go to Malik Washington, your rookie? 5 receptions for 52 yards. He's having an okay rookie season. Jonnu Smith continues to impress, though. Got to give the big tight end credit. 9 receptions, 48 yards, and that beautiful touchdown. To a credit, great pass. Jonnu Smith, great catch. Tyreek Hill, he was underthrown. He was overthrown. Still, nonetheless, 2 receptions, 36 yards. Devon Achane continues to do it on both ends. 7 receptions, 35 yards. Raheem Mostert, 3 receptions, 13 yards. Once again, Jalen Waddle, he was hurt most of the game, but he had no receptions for no yards. On the Texans side, CJ Stroud, 18 for 26, 131 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. And their running game was just absolutely terrible. Nola, he had 35 yards on 1 carry. That was the fake punt, whatever. Joe Mixon, talk about being handcuffed. 12 carries for 23 yards. Tank Dell, I thought he was good all game. 1 rush for 15 yards. CJ Stroud, 6 carries for 4 yards, although he did get a big first down on that designed run. Joe Mixon, 5 receptions, 33 yards. Tank Dell, 2 receptions, 26 yards. Nico Collins, I thought he had a great game. 4 receptions, 17 yards, but 2 touchdowns on the whole scramble comeback move. John Minchie, 2 receptions, 7 yards. For the most part, they were held in check, but the Dolphins lose 20-12. Going to come back here from Mike McDaniel and wrap things up as the Dolphins are now 6-8 with very, 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 very little wiggle room. Some people would say season's over. Mathematically, it's not. And we're going to get you a scoreboard update because there's a you-know-what whooping going on in the NFL. Maybe you'll be surprised. Maybe you won't. But a really good team is getting really beat into the ground. That's next here on Game Day Uncensored 560 WQAM.
Broadcasting live from the Ed Moore Sawgrass Auto Mall Studios. Shop massive savings on a massive Chevy inventory, all backed by Morse at Ed Moore Sawgrass Chevrolet. Visit EdMooreSawgrassChevrolet.com. Chevy, find new roads.
This is Game Day Uncensored on WQAM Miami, WPOW HD2 Miami, WKIS HD2 Boca Raton, an Odyssey sports station.
Powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys.
Call 1-800-747-FREE.
That's 1-800-747-3733.
Game Day Uncensored, post-game edition.
We keep rolling. Don't be stressed. Y'all know what's online.
Recapping the Fins game. Real reaction, real opinions, real talk for real fans.
That sounds amazing.
On AM 560 Sports, WQAM, FM 99.9 HD2, and always live on the free Odyssey app.
Game Day Uncensored is sponsored by South Florida Lexus Dealers. Experience amazing by Tito's Handmade Vodka. Tito's Handmade Vodka on game day. Pour me in, coach. Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac. Make sure your next Cadillac is backed by Morse at Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac. Proud partner of the Miami Dolphins. By JM Lexus. At JM Lexus, you'll always get the home team advantage. And by Williamson Automotive. Williamson is Miami.
Dolphins lose to the Texans deep in the heart of Texas, H-Town to be exact, 20-12. Whenever you lose another game to a playoff team, whenever you lose another game on the road, whether it's indoors, outdoors, cold or hot, there's a lot of fingers to be pointed and there's a lot of blame to be had. Mike McDaniel spoke with the media after the game and addressed who's to blame.
You know, it's easy to just attribute it to, the last person that touched the ball. I think there was a compounding situation with some of the, everybody had a hand in it, whether it was protection or, there was a couple times that we'd been better as of late, being exactly where we need to be. That was the biggest thing is to play the style we do and play with some anticipation. We have to have a total connectivity from the unit. It's just not good enough. Outside of 3% chance, you're not going to win games with 4 turnovers. So it was very, very disappointing in that regard. We'd done a good job of not turning it over since LA. As a result, we've been in position to win football games. I thought the defensive effort was tremendous, which is a reason it was a 1-score game. It's unfortunate for a lot of guys. That was a hard fought loss by our team. Yeah, I think that's something that will be the tonality that I'll capture tomorrow. To me, my message to the team was not to run from how this feels. It's terrible. It was a game that we thought we were ready to go win, and we weren't. And so we'll approach that tomorrow. But what I do know is we had a team that fought tooth and nail to the very end. We have a team that loves football, that's very prideful. And so there's 3 games left with paid attendance. We'll turn to that page tomorrow. Right now, that's I think guys are still trying to absorb the outcome.
Not only how Tyree performed today, but how he was guarding and covered today. Doesn't feel like there's going to be following him around.
Well, I thought there was some, there's times that next gen stats doesn't account for like a outside release runoff versus cover 2, and there's overall I thought he was winning at the line of scrimmage, And so we that's a really good corner. Hats off to him. And that was important down to the wire, where I thought that Tyreek won at the line of scrimmage on that first down, that last pick, and we didn't connect the way it usually goes down. So he was competing. I think he had the big third down reception in a tight window, took some hits, and there's I'll have to look at the tape to give it more expansive, but it wasn't he was winning on the line of scrimmage, we'll take a look at the tape and see how we can get our production better. I live, I have a vision of how it's completed. I was looking at the line of scrimmage to watch his feet because we call it man. I'll have to take a closer look whether or not either party could have done a better job because generally that's the way those things work. When we have down the field throws and the reverse man coverage, you need to the receiver to win at the right time, and then you need the right ball placement. So I'll take a look at that. I just know they didn't connect, and that's something that if you would have said before the game that the game was going to come down to, our expectation is to make that play. So a lot of tape to comb through, as we put this game to bed. I think the way I handle those type of situations, specifically that one, where it's a floating zone player, is I'm just over the top, making sure that everything is connected and we're doing what we know to do. Because for me to see that without watching the tape, I can't take the words back. So we'll take a look. I just know it wasn't our expected result specifically in that coverage. Who's should have to have seen it, should have Tyreek adjusted his route. I'll take a look at that tonight on the plane.
So Mike McDaniel, all about the X's and O's and all about watching the tape. That's what he really seemed to want to talk about in that post-game press conference. I don't have to watch the tape again to let you know Dolphins just didn't make plays in the big moments. Threw interceptions, didn't get the stops they needed, just not big in big moments. Speaking of teams big in big moments, Lions getting whooped by Buffalo, but they came back, made it 38-28 with 12 minutes left, decided to kick an onside kick. What do big teams do in big moments? Buffalo, they received the onside kick and almost scored a touchdown. On the next play, scored a touchdown. So now the Bills lead 45-28 with 11 minutes left. That was a huge play from Buffalo, not just recovering the onside kick, but recovering and almost scoring and then scoring the next play. You want to know the difference between teams that win big-time games and teams that don't? They make plays, and Buffalo has been making plays all day. Once again, 45-28 with 11 minutes left against the Lions. A lot of people love the Lions, and Dan Campbell, well, they're getting it put on them. Speaking of good teams getting it put on them, Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Chargers. Buccaneers are up 37-17 with about 3.5 minutes left to play. Those Bucs, man. Keep hating on Baker Mayfield and see how it goes. Other games that are in action right now, the Broncos, they're up 24-13 on the Colts with 7 minutes left. Remember, if the Colts lose, Texans took care of business today. Texans would automatically be into the playoffs. Cardinals, they're a decent team. The Patriots are not. Therefore, you get the Cardinals winning 30-17. Other games in action right now, the Eagles, who I think right now are the best team in the NFL pound for pound. They are up on the Steelers, another really good team. Eagles lead the Steelers 27-13 tonight, 8:20. You get Robert Grieper's Packers versus the Seahawks, two teams that have beaten the Dolphins this season. Other games of note, my Saints. Oh my goodness, this was one of the more interesting games of the day. Commanders We're up 20-7. The Saints come back, score on the last play of the game, make it 20-19. And they did what I told them to do, go for two. You know what? You're at home. Who cares? Spencer Rattler, I know, is the quarterback. Saints go for two. They don't get it. The Commanders win 20-19. Maybe they shouldn't have gone for two. I don't know. I'm not a coach. I don't know. The Chiefs did exactly what you thought they would do to the Browns. They got up 21-0. They win at 21-7. Bengals, I want to bury him. Grieper wants to bury him, but you just can't bury him just yet. Joe Burrow putting up MVP-like numbers. He's not going to win the MVP because his team's not good enough. Jamar Chase in a contract year, leading the league in receiving. Bengals beat the Titans, who are terrible. They still beat the Dolphins, though. Bengals beat the Titans 37-27. The Ravens do exactly what they should do to the Giants, 35-14. Jets sucks. They sucked less, though, against the Jaguars today. Although I don't know if winning is a win because it might hurt your draft stock between those two teams. So the Jaguars take the lead when it comes to a better draft pick over the Jets. Jets win 32-25. Cowboys, I mean, they can beat up on the Panthers all they want, 30-14. And then Monday Night Football. That's going to be a fun one between the Bears and the Vikings. See how Brian Flores' defense gets things going. All you have to know today, though, the Dolphins have lost 20-12. There was not a lot of pretty things in that game, and it's not looking pretty for the Dolphins' chances to make it into the postseason, but they at least have 3 more games that have paid attendance this year, as we heard Mike McDaniel just now say. And we're going to get right back at it next week. The Dolphins get back into action. It is going to be against the 49ers, another disappointing team this season. They come to town, 4:25 kickoff from Hard Rock Stadium, and we're going to be with you for the post game. For Robert Grieper, I am Dan Day. Let's go Dolphins. This has been Game Day Uncensored on 560 WQAM. Later, slug.
If you're a Florida business owner